Chapter 574. Swoosh. True text pill. The 8th floor of the Alchemy Union. Peng Zhou frowned. He could see a hint of disdain in Furball's eyes. How could a dog show such a human-like expression? Peng Zhou was confused. President Peng, what kind of dog is that? I think I saw disdain in its eyes. Zhao Kuo looked at the crystal on the wall and asked. Although Peng Zhou was Zhao Kuo's master, he had made it clear that Zhao Kuo could only call him President Peng when there were outsiders around. Zhao Kuo could only call him master when there were no outsiders around. Now that Ren Xiangtian was here, Zhao Kuo could only call him President Peng Zhou. Is that dog a spirit? It's scary to be uneducated. Ren Xiangtian curled his lips and said, You call yourself a genius in the Union, but you can't even tell a normal dog apart. Who are you calling uneducated? Zhao Kuo roared. All right, no matter if Ning Yu can make a supreme true martial pill or not, I will allow him to enter the 8th floor. Peng Zhou waved his hand and said, Zhao Kuo will guard the entrance to the 8th floor, and you will test Ning Yu yourself. You can take a good look at that dog. Then, Peng Zhou found a chair and sat down, closing his eyes to rest. Seeing that Peng Zhou had sat down, Zhao Kuo looked at Ren Xiangtian provocatively and said, I will show you who is the uneducated one. Ren Xiangtian ignored Zhao Kuo and focused his attention on the wall. There, Ning Yu sped up again. Something's not right. Suddenly, Ning Yu sensed something and sent a wisp of his soul force into a herb. Damn it! Ning Yu cursed inwardly when he felt the composition of the herbs. His heart sank to the bottom. 5 elements flower. There was a key ingredient to making a true martial pill, and that was the 5 elements flower. Normally, the 5 elements flower was not a problem. After all, it was cheap, and the market price was only 1 low-grade yuan crystal. However, the 5 elements flower was the key ingredient to making a true martial pill, so it was indispensable. The medicinal power of the 5 elements flower has been extracted. This 5 elements flower is useless. Ning Yu took a deep breath, turned to look at the smiling guard, and murmured, Without the 5 elements flower, how can I refine the transcendent true martial Dan? Ning Yu's eyes darted around as he tried to think of a countermeasure. Without the 5 elements flower, ordinary people might think that the refining of the true martial Dan would definitely fail, but in Ning Yu's heart, he didn't think so. Reincarnation Pill Dao. At this crucial moment, Ning Yu recalled the book, Samsara Pill Dao. In his previous life, Ning Yu had obtained the reincarnation Pill Dao in the Nether Cave, which led to him being besieged by the powerhouses of the Sky Demon region, and he had no choice but to perish at the peak of the Sky Demon region. There were all kinds of elixir recipes recorded in Reincarnation Pill Dao, including the True Martial Pills recipe. There are a total of 32 True Martial Dan recipes. Ning Yu tried hard to search his memory, hoping to find a formula that did not require the 5 elements flower. Damn it! However, after 2.5 minutes, Ning Yu's face turned darker and darker, and in the end, he even cursed out loud. Without exception, all 32 formulas for refining the true martial Dan required the 5 elements flower. In other words, Ning Yu's plan to rely on the Samsara Pill Dao to reverse the situation had completely failed. Time was ticking away, and in the blink of an eye, there were only 4 minutes left before the agreed time. In 4 minutes, unless he managed to get another batch of medicinal herbs, Ning Yu's pill refinement this time was bound to fail. No, no. At that moment, Ning Yu's eyes showed a touch of ecstasy. What's going on? Did he lose his mind? Seeing the look in Ning Yu's eyes, the guard at the entrance of the 4th floor stood up from his chair and looked at Ning Yu in confusion. There are only 4 minutes left. What are you doing here instead of refining the supreme true martial Dan? What a pity. Even if you are normal now, it is impossible for you to refine the supreme true martial Dan in 4 minutes. The guard on the 4th floor was involved in the whole thing, and he knew that Ning Yu would never be able to refine the supreme true martial Dan. The 5 elements flour was widely recognized as an essential ingredient for refining the true Marshall Dan. All the true Marshall Dan recipes circulated in the alchemy world contained the 5 elements flour. Unless Ning Yu created another recipe, failure was inevitable. Create another recipe? In such a short time, if Ning Yu could create another recipe, the guard on the 4th floor would probably kneel down to Ning Yu. True Marshall Dan. The reason why Ning Yu was excited was not because he had created a recipe, but because he had found a pill that was extremely close to the true Marshall Dan in the Reincarnation Pill Audiobook. The true Marshall Dan. The true Marshall Dan was a peak grade 4 pill. In a sense, the true Marshall Dan was a simplified version of the true Marshall Dan. Most importantly, the refining process of the true Marshall Dan did not require the 5 elements flour. Because it did not require the 5 elements flour, the effect of the true Marshall Dan was much worse. The effect of the supreme true Marshall Dan was equivalent to that of the low-grade true Marshall Dan. Ning Yu did not care about the effect of the true Marshall Dan at all. What he cared about was whether the true Marshall Dan could fool the guard's perception. I can only try it as a last resort. There are still 4 minutes left. Let me refine the true Marshall Dan first. Ning Yu recalled the recipe of the true Marshall Dan in his mind, and then poured all of his soul power into the furnace. The true Marshall Dan did not require the 5 elements flour, so Ning Yu burnt the 5 elements flour and let it stick on the furnace. Actually, Ning Yu had wanted to kick the 5 elements flour out of the furnace at first, but thinking that it might cause a commotion, Ning Yu gave up on that idea. After all, the 5 elements flour was publicly recognized as a necessary ingredient for refining the true Marshall Dan. Ning Yu did not want to be captured by others for research, especially since this was the Alchemy Union, and there was an old monster on the 8th floor. You still haven't given up, your spirit is commendable, the guard on the 4th floor said lightly. Ning Yu will definitely be able to refine the supreme true Marshall Dan, Lu Wei said in a low voice. Of course, if Ning Yu cannot refine the supreme true Marshall Dan in 10 minutes, I will twist my head off. Li Tongtian believed in Ning Yu unconditionally. Idiot. On the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union, Zhao Kuo heard the conversation between Lu Wei and Li Tongtian through the crystal wall. He said coldly, if Ning Yu is able to refine the supreme true Marshall Dan, I will kneel down and sing Conquer. What? Before Zhao Kuo could finish his words, his eyes widened and he stared at the crystal wall. His eyeballs were about to fall out of their socket. This is impossible. Zhao Kuo seemed to have used all of his strength and shouted, this is absolutely impossible. What's the fuss about? Luckily, the soundproofing of this room is very good. Otherwise, people would think that something had happened. Peng Zhou's eyes suddenly opened. He first glared at Zhao Kuo unhappily, then turned his head to look at the crystal wall. Swoosh. Chapter 575. Unreasonable Request Boom. At the entrance of the 4th floor of the Union, Ning Yu slammed the cauldron with both of his hands. The lid of the cauldron flew up and a smooth-looking elixir flew out from the cauldron. Swoosh. Ning Yu squinted his eyes and grabbed the elixir firmly in his hand. This is impossible. Seeing Ning Yu's action, the guard at the entrance of the 4th floor stood up from his chair and said coldly, Ning Yu, show me the elixir in your hand. I want to confirm if it is a transcendent true Marshall pill or not. The guard at the entrance of the 4th floor knew better than anyone that the elixir he gave to Ning Yu was missing the 5 elements flour. Without the 5 elements flour, no matter how skilled Ning Yu was in refining elixir, it would be impossible for him to refine a true Marshall pill. Could it be that Ning Yu had really created another elixir formula? As soon as this thought appeared, it was extinguished by the guard. It was impossible for Ning Yu to create another true Marshall pill formula in such a short period of time. Even if you don't say it, I will give it to you to check. Ning Yu behaved very calmly and directly threw the pill in his hand to the guard. Pack. The guard took the elixir from Ningyu and started to check it carefully. This doesn't make sense. How is it possible to refine a transcendent true martial pill? The guard mumbled to himself as he checked. The guard had never heard of anyone being able to refine a true martial pill without the 5 elements flour. But the truth was right in front of him. He had to believe it. After a moment of silence, the guard said, "I have a question to ask." "Don't bother. Since I am refining a transcendent true martial pill, does that mean we can enter the 7th floor of the Union directly?" Ningyu waved his hand and said calmly, "You." The guard did not expect Ningyu to do this. He was embarrassed. He had indeed promised Ningyu that as long as Ningyu could refine the transcendent grade true martial Dan within 10 minutes, he would unconditionally allow Ningyu to enter the 7th floor of the Alchemist Union. However, everything was based on the fact that it was impossible for Ningyu to refine the true martial Dan. Now, not only had Ningyu refined a true martial Dan, but the quality had also reached the super grade. Whoosh! Right at this moment, Ningyu's figure flashed, and he scuttled past the guards. "Since you've already confirmed that this is a transcendent grade true martial pill, I'm going to enter the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union." Ningyu casually tossed the pill he had snatched from the guard into his storage ring and walked past the guard towards the 4th floor of the Alchemy Union. Li Tongtian and Lu Wei followed closely behind Ningyu. The guard at the entrance of the 4th floor stared blankly at Ningyu's back, his face filled with confusion. After entering the 4th floor, Ningyu and the rest did not encounter any trouble. Moreover, the 5th floor, the 6th floor, and even the 7th floor were not stopped. To be able to refine a transcendent grade true martial Dan within 10 minutes, it's not easy. However, just as Ningyu was about to enter the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union, he was stopped by a young man. The young man was none other than Zhao Kuo. Zhao Kuo's lips curled into a sinister smile as he said eerily, "Hand over the transcendent grade true martial Dan you just refined, let me check it." "Hand over the transcendent grade true martial Dan for you to check?" Hearing this, Ningyu stopped in his tracks and said calmly, "You have to tell me who you are. You can't expect me to hand over the transcendent grade true martial Dan, right? If that's the case, I'll lose face." "Face? Ah." Zhao Kuo laughed hysterically and his tone turned cold. "I, Zhao Kuo, am giving you face by asking to check your transcendent grade true martial Dan." "Zhao Kuo?" Ningyu raised an eyebrow and said, "That's right, I am Zhao Kuo, ranked first among the younger generation in the Alchemy Union." Zhao Kuo said proudly, "I don't know you." However, before Zhao Kuo could finish his sentence, Ningyu said calmly, "Your ranking in the Alchemy Union has nothing to do with me. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." Zhao Kuo's expression turned cold and said, "If you want to enter the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union, you'll have to pass through me. Otherwise, you'll have to go back." Zhao Kuo was certain that Ningyu was going to enter the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union, so he said with an evil smile, "I'm an easy person to talk to. If you can fulfill 3 conditions, I will open the door to the 8th floor for you. First, hand over the transcendent grade true martial Dan you just refined. I want to check if it's a real transcendent grade true martial Dan. Second, defeat me in terms of alchemy. Third," Zhao Kuo paused for a moment before his gaze landed on Lu Wei and said, "If I'm not mistaken, the white puppy should be with her. Hand it over to me so I can study it." Swoosh. Ningyu remained calm when he heard Zhao Kuo's first 2 conditions. After all, Zhao Kuo's request was not too much. However, when he heard the 3rd condition, Ningyu's face turned completely dark. How dare he? How dare he covet Furball? "I don't think I can fulfill any of these 3 conditions." Ningyu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "You can't even fulfill one of them, and you still want to enter the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union?" Zhao Kuo was stunned when he heard Ningyu's words. He then said, "Go back to where you came from. You're not welcome here. Let's go." Ningyu did not argue with Zhao Kuo. He turned around and walked toward the 6th floor of the Alchemy Union. Ning Yu's sudden action left Zhao Kuo dumbfounded. He was just trying to goad Ning Yu into leaving. He did not expect Ning Yu to really leave. Ning Yu, do you really not want to enter the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union? After a brief moment of shock, Zhao Kuo said loudly, Feng Zi and Zhou Tong are both on the 8th floor. If you don't come, I can't guarantee their safety. You're threatening me. Ning Yu turned around and walked toward Zhao Kuo step by step at a very slow pace. Looking at Ning Yu who was approaching him, Zhao Kuo's heart clenched and he felt like he was about to lose control of his mind. He quickly guarded his mind and scolded, I'm not threatening you. I'm just telling you the truth. The conditions to enter the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union. Ning Yu glanced at the 8th floor of the Alchemy Association and said indifferently, Don't make any more unreasonable requests. Swoosh. In the room, Peng Zhou's face turned solemn. This was the second time he had seen such a look. The first time, it was from the white puppy in Lu Wei's arms. The second time, it was from Ning Yu. The two gazes were shockingly similar. There was a hint of disdain in both. What kind of ability did Ning Yu have? How dare he look at him with such disdain? In an instant, Peng Zhou's face turned extremely cold. He transmitted his voice to Zhao Kuo, Ning Yu's alchemy level is very high. You might not be able to surpass him in alchemy. Therefore, for the next assessment, focus on martial arts. Chapter 576. Chapter 576 of the Deadbeat Easily, Ning Yu, it's not impossible for you to enter the 8th floor of the Alchemist Association. After receiving Peng Zhou's order, Zhao Kuo rolled his eyes and said, As long as you defeat me in martial arts, you can enter the 8th floor of the Alchemist Union unconditionally. That simple? Hearing this, Ning Yu was slightly taken aback and then said, Simple? As if he had just heard the funniest joke in the world, Zhao Kuo threw his head back and let out a wild laugh. Then, he said coldly, To tell you the truth, among the younger generation in the capital, those who can excel in martial arts. Ning Yu interrupted Zhao Kuo and said coolly, Cut the crap. When will the fight begin? Anytime. Holy shit. Zhao Kuo nodded. Just as he was about to say something harsh, he couldn't help but swear. This was because he realized that Ning Yu had arrived in front of him at some point in time. His right fist was only 10 centimeters away from his cheek. Damn it. At the critical moment, Zhao Kuo hastily raised his right hand and collided with Ning Yu's fist. Kacha! A crisp sound accompanied by a pig-slaughtering scream resounded from the entrance of the 8th floor of the Alchemist Union. Luckily, the soundproofing on the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union was pretty good. Otherwise, just this scream alone would definitely cause a huge commotion in the Alchemy Union's main hall. You should have told me earlier that the condition to enter the 8th level of the Alchemist Union was so simple. Why would I waste my breath on you? Casually pushing Zhao Kuo back, Ning Yu shrugged and walked toward the 8th floor of the Alchemist Guild. Oh right. When he came to Zhao Kuo's side, Ning Yu paused for a moment, then said, In the future, when you're fighting someone, remember not to be distracted. With that, Ning Yu walked towards the 8th level of the Alchemy Union without looking back. Lu Wei and Li Tongtian followed closely behind him. Poochie. Zhao Kuo was already ashamed of his carelessness, and now, when he heard Ning Yu's words, he was so furious that he coughed out a mouthful of blood. Humph. On the 8th floor of the Alchemy Union, Peng Zhou's face turned cold as he watched the battle between Zhao Kuo and Ning Yu through the crystal wall. Zhao Kuo had lost very sullenly, not because he was weaker than Ning Yu, but because he had been careless. From Peng Zhou's point of view, if Zhao Kuo and Ning Yu really fought each other, it was hard to tell who would win. That's fast. But then again, the speed Ning Yu displayed just now was indeed very fast. Even Peng Zhou couldn't see it clearly. Hurry up and get back here. As the head of the Alchemist Guild, Peng Zhou did not lose his rationality. After a brief moment of shock, he sent a telepathic message to Zhao Kuo and said, You lost due to carelessness. I hope that you will cherish your next opportunity. Right, invite Feng Zi and Zhou Tong over. Whoosh. Zhao Kuo was feeling somewhat dejected at first, but when he heard Ping Zhou's message, he hastily got up from the ground with an excited look on his face. It was indeed because of his carelessness that he lost to Ningyu. Judging from Ping Zhou's words, he was trying to get another chance to fight against Ningyu. I must seize this opportunity. Ningyu, just you wait. Zhao Kuo clenched his fists tightly and leaped into the air, heading towards the 8th floor of the Alchemist Guild. There was only one room on the 8th floor of the Alchemist Guild. Naturally, Ningyu came to the room and stood in front of it. The door is open. Come in. Just as Ningyu was considering whether he should knock on the door, a deep voice entered his ears. It really is a yin-yang peak martial artist. Hearing the voice, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat and he secretly raised his guard. It seemed like his guess was right. The martial artist on the 8th floor of the Alchemist Guild was a yin-yang peak martial artist. Creak. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu pushed the door open and entered. Ren Xiangtian? The moment Ningyu pushed the door open, he saw two martial artists. One of them was an old man dressed in black. He was obviously one of the higher-ups of the Alchemist Guild, and the martial artist who had spoken just now. The other one was Ren Xiangtian, whom Ningyu was very familiar with. Ningyu, how have you been? Ren Xiangtian greeted Ningyu politely and retreated behind the old man in black. Although Ren Xiangtian did not speak, Ningyu could still see some clues from his facial expression. Could it be that the old man in black in front of him had some kind of powerful background? Ever since Ningyu entered the room, the old man in black had been staring at Ningyu. However, the old man in black was still rational. He did not split his soul perception into Ningyu's body. Instead, he watched quietly. Senior, I'm already here. Isn't it time to hand over Feng Zi and Zhou Tong? The old man in black did not speak. Ningyu would not waste time with him like this. In this room, Ningyu did not see Feng Zi and Zhou Tong. He definitely had to ask about them. I, Peng Zhou, am a man of my words. I've never gone back on my words. Peng Zhou retracted his gaze and said with a smile, Wait a little longer. Don't wait any longer. Feng Zi and Zhou Tong have been brought here. Ningyu followed Peng Zhou's gaze and saw a total of 3 people at the entrance of the room. One was Feng Zi, one was Zhou Tong, and the last one was Zhao Kuo, whose face was filled with rage. At this moment, Feng Zi and Zhou Tong were being grabbed by Zhao Kuo like 2 chicks. One in each hand, he threw them into the room. Swish. Swish. Ningyu and Li Tongtian moved at almost the same time and caught Feng Zi and Zhou Tong. Peng Zhou, what's the meaning of this? Ningyu first put Feng Zi and Zhou Tong down, then said coldly, Don't tell me this is how you treat your guests. Smack. 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 As soon as Ningyu finished speaking, Peng Zhou flashed past Zhao Kuo. 3 crisp sounds rang out in the room, causing Ningyu to stare blankly. Just who was Peng Zhou? Even Zhao Kuo's face was clear. I asked you to invite Feng Zi and Zhou Tong over. Is this how you invite them? Peng Zhou's tone was cold as he said to Zhao Kuo, Hurry up and admit your mistake. Unless Ningyu forgives you, you'll be punished to face the wall for a month. Whoosh. In that instant, Zhao Kuo felt like his head was about to explode. Just what was Peng Zhou up to? He actually wanted to punish him to face the wall for a month. After all, tomorrow was the day of the alchemy competition. If he were to face the wall at this time, he would undoubtedly miss the competition. But Peng Zhou's expression was extremely cold. Zhao Kuo could only say reluctantly, Ningyu, it's all my fault. I was too rash. I hope that a great man like you won't hold it against me. A 2-man act? That was the thought that popped into Ningyu's mind. Peng Zhou and Zhao Kuo echoed each other as if they had planned it beforehand. One was angry, the other was pale. However, Zhao Kuo's status was not on the same level as Peng Zhou. I'm fine, but Feng Zi and Zhou Tong were a little frightened. Ningyu waved his hand, gesturing for Feng Zi and Zhou Tong to keep quiet. Since you want to put on a two-man act, why don't I take this opportunity to extort some money? Chapter 577. Not a bargain, just pay me a few 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals, and I'll forget about it. When Ningyu said this, everyone in the large room, including Li Tongtian and the others, including Ping Zhou, were dumbfounded. Demanding an exorbitant price. What an exorbitant price! Feng Zi and Zhou Tong were not injured, yet Ningyu asked for a few 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals? Was he out of his mind? Zhao Kuo thought to himself. However, looking at Ping Zhou's expression, Zhao Kuo could only grit his teeth and say, I do have a few 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals, but it depends on whether you have the ability to snatch it away. What snatch? Ningyu's tone was cold. You said that you hoped I wouldn't lower myself to your level. It's simple, as long as you pay me a few 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals, I won't lower myself to your level. You. Zhao Kuo was so angry that he wanted to teach Ningyu a lesson right there and then. However, when he thought of Ping Zhou's words, he could only swallow his anger and say, a few 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals is too much, can you reduce it? I'm a very easygoing person. Since you've already asked, it's not right for me to ask for so many supreme-grade essence crystals. Ningyu thought for a moment and said, 90,000 supreme-grade essence crystals, and we'll forget about it. 90,000 supreme-grade essence crystals was not a small sum. Zhao Kuo did not dare to make the decision and could only look at Ping Zhou. As the president of the Alchemy Union, 90,000 supreme-grade essence crystals was nothing to him. Give him 90,000 supreme-grade essence crystals, then compete with him in terms of martial strength. The wager is 200,000 supreme-grade essence crystals. Ping Zhou said without hesitation. Gasp! When Ping Zhou said this, he was very calm. However, when it entered Zhao Kuo's ears, he was extremely shocked and he gasped. He was giving Ningyu 90,000 supreme-grade essence crystals for free and wanted to bet with him for 200,000 supreme-grade essence crystals. Moreover, from Ping Zhou's words, it seemed that Ningyu did not need to pay any price. Since Ping Zhou had spoken, Zhao Kuo could not refuse. Therefore, he took out a storage bag and tossed it over to Ningyu. There are 90,000 supreme-grade origin crystals in here, Zhao Kuo said. Do you want to count them? Hee, I still believe in your character. If you tampered with the crystals, it would damage the reputation of the Alchemy Union. A faint smile appeared on Ningyu's face as he tossed the storage bag into his storage ring. Right now, Ningyu was in a very good mood. When he came out of Danwu College, he was still worrying about 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals. He made a trip to the Miracle Physician shop and obtained 100,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals from Dan Xingzi. After entering the Alchemy Union, he won another 100,000 transcendent-grade yuan crystals from Zhao Bo and took the remaining 30,000 transcendent-grade yuan crystals from Zhao Bo. Now, he obtained another 90,000 transcendent-grade yuan crystals from Zhao Kuo. Now, Ningyu had a total of 320,000 transcendent-grade yuan crystals on him. With so many transcendent-grade yuan crystals, it was enough for the Red Demon Sword to advance to the Monarch rank. Ningyu, you've accepted the origin crystals. Now it's time to talk about the matter between us. Right at this moment, Ping Zhou's voice sounded in a timely manner. I've always wanted to ask you a question. When you were at the entrance of the 4th floor of the Alchemy Union, how on earth did you refine the transcendent-grade true martial pill? Can you take out that transcendent-grade true martial pill for me to see? Old Fox, as expected, you're waiting for me here. Ningyu knew Ping Zhou would ask this question, so he said without batting an eyelid, at that time, the guard gave me 2 sets of herbs to refine the true martial pill. I casually took one and was lucky enough to refine a transcendent-grade true martial pill. Was it really luck? Peng Zhou frowned. Of course it's true, Ningyu said as he flicked his sleeves and threw the fourth-floor guard's storage bag to Peng Zhou. There's also a set of herbs to refine the true martial pill. If you don't believe me, you can check it. Oh right, I can use that set of herbs to refine a new batch of transcendent-grade true martial pill right in front of you. Ningyu continued, the time will definitely be within 10 minutes. Peng Zhou acted as if he hadn't heard Ningyu's words. Instead, he separated a bit of his soul force into the storage bag. After a while, Peng Zhou retracted his soul force and murmured, "It doesn't make sense. This set of herbs contains the 5 elements flower and it's of high quality. Could it be that the guard took the wrong herbs?" Peng Zhou thought about it and felt that there was only one explanation. Otherwise, Ningyu using the scrapped 5 elements flower herbs to refine the transcendent-grade true martial pill was indeed a bit scary. That transcendent-grade true martial pill you refined, if it's convenient, let me have a look, Peng Zhou said. Xiao. Ningyu hesitated for a second, then flicked his sleeve and threw the true martial pill to Peng Zhou. Catching the true martial pill, Peng Zhou carefully observed it. This time, Peng Zhou observed it very carefully, hoping to find the flaw of the true martial pill. But he was destined to find nothing. The true martial pill recorded in the reincarnation Pill Dao could only be found by the Pill Dao Grand Master. Ordinary 8th-rank alchemists could not find it at all. Peng Zhou's soul force was only at the early 8th rank. With his strength, to find the difference between the true martial pill and the true martial pill was as hard as ascending to heaven. And this was also the reason why Ningyu dared to take out the true martial pill for him to check. It is indeed a transcendent-grade true martial pill. It seems like the guard on the 4th floor took the wrong storage bag. A moment later, Peng Zhou returned the true martial pill to Ningyu. Senior, forgive me for asking, but is there anything else? Putting the true martial pill into the storage ring, Ningyu hesitated. If there is nothing else, I need to go back and prepare. After all, tomorrow is the alchemy competition. Hehe, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Peng Zhou waved his hand and smiled. To be honest, Zhao Kuo is my disciple. He has always had a dream. Zhao Kuo is your disciple? Ningyu came to a sudden realization. No wonder Ren Xiangtian's expression was a little unsightly when he first came in. He didn't expect Zhao Kuo to be Peng Zhou's disciple. That's right, Zhao Kuo is my last disciple. Peng Zhou nodded. When Danwu College's Sacred Institute recruited students, he wanted to participate in the assessment. But due to various reasons, he missed the assessment. And you are the first in the assessment, so Zhao Kuo wants to exchange pointers with you here. At this point, Peng Zhou paused for a moment before continuing, let's first spar in martial arts, then alchemy. Originally, Peng Zhou only wanted Zhao Kuo to compete with Ningyu in terms of martial arts, but for some reason, he changed his mind. Whether it was alchemy or martial arts, he wanted to see Ningyu's real level, and Zhao Kuo was undoubtedly the best touchstone. Among the younger generation of the Alchemy Union, Zhao Kuo surpassed Situ Wen and Ren Xiangtian, becoming the #1 peerless prodigy in the Union. Chapter 578. Primordial Qi Feast. There's no need to spar in terms of martial arts, right? Ningyu said. At the entrance to the 8th level of the Alchemy Union, your disciple was already defeated by me. Continuing to spar won't affect the outcome. Ningyu, I was careless just now. If we were to spar again, I definitely won't lose. Zhao Kuo's face was contorted with rage. You're only a mid-stage primordial core cultivator, while I'm a peak-stage primordial core cultivator. Be it the density of primordial qi or personal strength, I far surpass you. Oh! Ningyu raised an eyebrow and said, let's make it simpler in terms of martial arts. Let's compete on the density of primordial qi. That's what you said. I didn't force you. Zhao Kuo snorted coldly. In Zhao Kuo's opinion, Ningyu's arrogance was tantamount to seeking death. Ningyu. Ningyu did not know that Zhao Kuo's primordial qi was abnormally dense, but Ren Xiangtian was well aware of it. Although Zhao Kuo's cultivation was only peak stage primordial core, the density of his primordial qi was comparable to a mid-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. No matter how strong Ningyu was, could he contend with a mid-stage yin-yang realm martial artist? Zhao Kuo, there's no meaning in a spar without a stake. Ningyu smiled at Ren Xiangtian, then turned around and said, "How about this? In addition to the 90,000 supreme primordial crystals you gave me, I'll take out another 10,000 supreme primordial crystals to round it up." Gasp! Zhou Tong could not help but gasp when he heard Ningyu's words. Earlier, when Ningyu extorted 90,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals from Zhao Kuo, Zhou Tong was already shocked enough. Now that Ningyu took out 100,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals as a wager, the shock on Zhou Tong's face could not be any greater. That was 100,000 supreme primordial crystals. If he lost, wouldn't it be all for naught? Moreover, Zhou Tong did not think that Ningyu would win. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Zhao Kuo and Ningyu were much stronger based on the strength of their primal qi. Compared to Zhou Tong's shock, Li Tongtian and the rest were still fine. After all, with his status, 100,000 transcendent-grade origin crystals was not considered a lot. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Zhao Kuo sneered. With a flick of his wrist, he took out another storage pouch. Waving the storage bag in his hand, Zhao Kuo said darkly, "There are 200,000 supreme-grade crystals in here. As long as you can defeat me in both martial arts and alchemy, they are all yours." "That's not very good," Ningyu said after a slight hesitation. "What's wrong with that? Are you afraid? If you're afraid, you can tell me." Zhao Kuo said proudly. Stop. Ningyu interrupted Zhao Kuo and said, "What I mean is, I'm only paying 100,000 supreme-grade crystals, but you're paying 200,000. This ratio is a little unfair. We're guests from afar. It's okay for us to suffer a little." Pringzhou smiled and said, "There are two ways to compete in the intensity of primordial qi. First, you can fight each other with your palms and see who can last longer. This method is more direct and intuitive. Second, I'll take out a crystal ball to test primordial qi. Both of you will inject your primordial qi into the crystal ball and see who can light up more halos. You decide which method to choose." Ningyu pondered for a moment and said, "I also like the simple and violent method for the first one. You can begin. Unleash your primordial qi to your heart's content. I'll stand guard here and make sure I don't disturb the others." Pringzhou took a step back and waved his hands. All of a sudden, a primordial qi barrier appeared in the surroundings, enveloping Ningyu and Zhao Kuo. As for him, Lu Wei, and the others, they stood outside the barrier and observed Ningyu and Zhao Kuo's movement. "Ningyu, let's see how you're going to play your tricks this time." Zhao Kuo's lips curled up as if he could already see Ningyu's miserable state. He laughed sinisterly. "I don't need to use my full strength to deal with you." Ningyu curled his lips and walked toward Zhao Kuo. After a while, Ningyu came to Zhao Kuo's side, raised his right hand and said, "Let me see what the #1 martial artist of the Alchemist Union is capable of. You're courting death." Zhao Kuo's expression was cold. He raised his right hand and punched toward Ningyu. Pack! In an instant the two palms collided. As soon as his palm came into contact with Ningyu's, the primordial qi in Zhao Kuo's body surged toward Ningyu's palm. No wonder he's so confident. The density of his primordial qi is comparable to that of a mid-yin-yang stage martial artist. At this moment, Ningyu was slightly moved, but that was all. Although the density of Zhao Kuo's primordial qi was comparable to that of a mid-yin-yang stage martial artist, it was still a far cry from his 7 golden cores. "For now, I'm evenly matched with you. I can't defeat you so quickly." From the corner of his eye, Ningyu saw Pengzhou's expression. He quickly concealed the golden cores in his consciousness, leaving only one golden core to contend with Zhao Kuo. Ningyu still felt that Peng Zhou had an ulterior motive for asking him to come here. Therefore, Ningyu would not reveal his true strength here. Evenly matched? Outside the primordial qi barrier, Peng Zhou frowned, feeling a little shocked. He knew Peng Zhou very well. Peng Zhou was at the pinnacle of the primordial core stage, and the density of primordial qi of a mid-yin-yang stage martial artist. The fact that Ningyu could go head-on with Peng Zhou as a mid-yin-yang stage martial artist was a testament to Ningyu's strength. Could it be that Ningyu's strength has reached the level where he can crush Zhao Kuo? Peng Zhou thought to himself. Just as the thought rose in his mind, it was impossible to get rid of. Li Tongtian, you seem to have a lot of confidence in Ningyu. While Ningyu and Zhao Kuo were fighting, Li Tongtian and Ren Xiangtian were conversing. What confidence? It's not like you don't know Ningyu's strength. Li Tongtian waved his hand and said, "Let me put it this way. If Ningyu wants to defeat me now, he doesn't even need to use his full strength. He only needs to use 20% of his strength," Li Tongtian said in a low voice. What? Hearing this, Ren Xiangtian's face was filled with shock. He was well aware of Li Tongtian's strength. Li Tongtian was at the pinnacle of the primordial core stage, and his true strength was comparable to an early yin-yang stage martial artist. If Ningyu could defeat him so easily, didn't that mean that defeating Zhao Kuo would not be difficult? But the current situation was that Zhao Kuo and Ningyu were evenly matched, and neither could defeat the other. Let's see how long you can last. Time ticked by, and in the blink of an eye, 5 minutes had passed. Looking at the pained expression on Ningyu's face, Zhao Kuo smirked. Ningyu, that was just the appetizer. What comes next is the real primordial qi feast. Zhao Kuo cracked his neck, and the golden elixir emerged from his body and floated above his head. Chapter 579. Careless, hiss. Despite Li Tongtian and the rest's confidence in Ningyu, they could not help but gasp when they felt the thick primordial qi that shot out of Zhao Kuo's golden core. Did Zhao Kuo eat some kind of all-nourishing pill? Why was the primordial qi in his golden core so thick? The primordial qi that burst out of Zhao Kuo's golden core could even compete with a peak intermediate yin-yang realm martial artist. It was about to break through its limits and compete with a peak intermediate yin-yang realm martial artist. Since when did Zhao Kuo become so powerful? Ren Xiangtian's expression was solemn and incredulous. Ningyu is doomed this time, but I still believe in Ningyu, Li Tongtian said in a low voice. Ningyu has even killed a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, let alone Zhao Kuo, who fought against a peak mid-stage yin-yang realm martial artist with only primordial qi, Feng Zi thought to himself. Harry Ball, do you think Ningyu will win? Lu Wei pulled Harry Ball's ear and asked in a low voice. Harry Ball looked at Lu Wei and went back to sleep, which made Lu Wei stomp her feet angrily. This, Zhou Tong's face was full of bitterness. The conflict between Ningyu and Zhao Kuo was all because of him. If Ningyu did not want to avenge him, why would he have a conflict with Zhao Kuo of the Alchemy Union? Moreover, Zhao Kuo was only a genius in the Alchemy Union. The most powerful martial artist was his master. Not bad. It seems that Zhao Kuo's seclusion this time was not in vain. The density of his primordial qi has increased by a level. Peng Zhou was quite satisfied with Zhao Kuo's performance. In the past, Zhao Kuo's primordial qi could only compete with a mid-yin-yang realm martial artist. Now, it had increased again and was showing signs of competing with a late yin-yang realm martial artist. At this rate, Zhao Kuo might be able to compete for the crown in the finals of the alchemy competition. Did I overestimate Ningyu, or did I get the wrong information? Peng Zhou turned to look at Ningyu, who was struggling to persevere, and could not help but fall into deep thought. According to the news he received, Ningyu had replaced Zhang Tianwen's position in the Sacred Institute and became the real #1 person in the Sacred Institute. Logically speaking, the resources that Ningyu enjoyed were top-notch. He even had the opportunity to come into contact with Danwu College's pill cavern. Of course, the prerequisite was that Ningyu had to become a fake saint. Every pseudo-saint of Danwu College was a top secret. Ordinary people did not even know the identity of a pseudo-saint. Take Li Tongtian, for example. He hid it very well. Other than a few people from the royal family, even Peng Zhou did not know that he was a fake saint. Perhaps Ningyu's martial arts strength is not that strong, but his alchemy skills are enough to make him a fake saint. Peng Zhou frowned slightly and murmured, "In Danwu College, as long as one's alchemy or martial Tao was abnormally heaven-defying, they could participate in the false saint's test. Once they passed, they would become a fake saint." The previous Sacred Institute's most popular candidate, Zhang Tianwen, had already been defeated by Ningyu. Peng Zhou had originally thought that Ningyu would become a fake saint, but now it seemed unlikely. To be precise, in terms of martial arts, Ningyu was still not qualified. After all, Zhaoque had sparred with a fake saint before. At that time, Zhaoque had lost in martial arts. Looks like I have to test Ningyu's alchemy skills again. If Ningyu could not even beat Zhaoque in martial arts, then he naturally could not rely on martial arts to become a fake saint. However, before Peng Zhou could finish his sentence, he saw the corner of Ningyu's mouth curl up. Then, a wave of essence qi that was no weaker than Zhaoque's burst forth from his consciousness. Bam! Caught off guard. He was really caught off guard. Just when Zhaoque was at his most gleeful, a powerful wave of essence qi exploded from Ningyu's body and pushed him back. Zhaoque spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His face turned extremely pale and bloodless. Careless. Careless again. Shameful. What a disgrace. Zhaoque wanted to slap himself a few times for being defeated twice in a row because of his carelessness. Swoosh. Zhaoque's sudden defeat left everyone in the room dumbfounded. Peng Zhou was the most confused of them all. He had basically sentenced Ningyu to death. Who would have thought that Ningyu would suddenly emerge and give him a huge surprise? Not simple. Not simple at all. Peng Zhou took a deep breath and began to re-evaluate Ningyu. However, Ningyu had already hidden his golden core, so Peng Zhou could not see through it at all. On the contrary, Peng Zhou felt that Ningyu was becoming more and more mysterious. "I'm sorry. I had a sudden impulse just now, and a wave of primitive energy burst forth from my body." After defeating Zhaoque, Ningyu first said apologetically. Then, he changed the topic and said, "I accidentally won 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals. Next time something this good happens, look for me first. I'll be at your beck and call." Zhaoque was already feeling gloomy. When he heard Ningyu's mocking words, he coughed out another mouthful of blood. He wished he could find a hole and hide in it. Shameful. This was really too shameful. It was understandable that he lost to Ningyu the first time because of his carelessness, but it was inexcusable that he lost to Ningyu the second time because of his carelessness. After all, he had fallen at the same place twice. He should change his way of thinking and learn from his mistake. Well, if there's nothing else, can we start the alchemy competition? Ningyu did not care whether Zhaoque coughed out blood or not. All he cared about was when he would get the remaining 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals. Compete. Zhaoque said through clenched teeth, "Let's compete in refining energy transformation pills." What? Compete in refining energy transformation pills? Ningyu asked as if he did not hear it clearly. Let's compete in refining a 5th-grade pill, the energy transformation pill," Zhaoque said coldly. Zhaoque's cultivation was at the pinnacle of the primal core realm. Recently, he had been refining energy transformation pills. Therefore, it was understandable that Zhaoque wanted to compete with Ningyu in refining energy transformation pills. Ningyu is in danger this time. Ren Xiangtian's expression turned solemn when he heard Zhaoque's words. "What's going on? Li Tongtian asked. The pill that Zhao Kuo is best at is probably the energy transformation pill, Ren Xiangtian explained. Ren Xiangtian explained, recently, Zhao Kuo has been refining energy transformation pills like crazy. He even refined a supreme-grade energy transformation pill once. What? A supreme-grade energy transformation pill? Feng Zi and Lu Wei, who were very confident in Ningyu, could not help but worry. When Ningyu fought with Siduwen, he won because of a superior-grade energy transformation pill. Was he going to lose to Zhao Kuo again because of the energy transformation pill? Lu Wei and the others turned to look at Ningyu, hoping that Ningyu would not agree to Zhao Kuo's challenge. Sigh, some people want to give me supreme-grade essence crystals, but there's nothing I can do about it. Ningyu sighed lightly and said slowly, Zhao Kuo, I'll tell you a little secret. When I defeated Siduwen, it was because I concocted the energy transformation pill before him. Chapter 580. Notification. Zhao Kuo burst out laughing when he heard Ningyu's words. You are a person who refined a high-grade essence transformation pill, yet you are bragging in front of a person who refined a supreme-grade essence transformation pill. Don't you feel ashamed? Who doesn't know how to boast? Let's see who's better. After Zhao Kuo finished speaking with a cold voice, he produced 2 storage pouches from his robe and tossed one of them to Ningyu. But, catching the storage pouch, Ningyu teased, Zhao Kuo, do you sell storage pouches? Why do you have so many? Ever since he met Zhao Kuo, he had taken out many storage pouches. One could not help but suspect that Zhao Kuo sold storage pouches. Whoosh! Zhao Kuo did not care about Ningyu's teasing. He had lost to Ningyu in the martial arts competition, so he had to get back at him in the alchemy competition. Otherwise, as the #1 genius in the alchemy union, he would lose all his face. Therefore, Zhao Kuo took out his alchemy furnace and tossed it into the air. He was going to refine the primary transformation pill before Ningyu. What the F***ck? Ningyu was dumbfounded when he saw Zhao Kuo's actions. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Zhao Kuo. Ningyu, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and refine the pill. Ren Xiangtian quickly reminded Ningyu when he saw him standing there in a daze, with Zhao Kuo's alchemy skills. He'll be able to refine a high-grade primary transformation pill in 10 minutes at most. I almost forgot if you didn't remind me. Hearing that, Ningyu calmly asked Zhao Kuo, we're competing to refine the primary transformation pill. How do we win? That's simple. Whoever can refine a high-grade primary transformation pill first wins. Although Zhao Kuo said that, his hands were not idle. As he spoke, he tossed another medicinal herb into the alchemy furnace and increased the intensity of the flame. Even if he wins with a high-grade yuan melting pill, it's reasonable. Ningyu hesitated for a while before taking out the pill furnace unhurriedly and starting to refine the yuan transforming pill. You're using this pill furnace? Although Zhao Kuo was concocting the energy transformation pill with all his might, he still noticed Ningyu's movements in between. Especially when he saw the pill furnace in Ningyu's hand, Zhao Kuo was dumbfounded. Because the pill furnace in Ningyu's hands could not even enter the earth board of pill furnaces. Using this kind of inferior pill furnace, he might be able to refine a transcendent-grade true martial Dan, but if he wanted to refine a high-grade origin transformation Dan, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. What? Could it be that you want to let me use your alchemy furnace? Ningyu raised an eyebrow and said, I have a special characteristic. If someone gives me something, I will never refuse. After all, I can't let them be bitterly disappointed. But, at this point, Ningyu changed the topic and said with a smile, You're different. Even if you give me your pill furnace, I won't take it. Hearing the first half of Ningyu's words, the people in the room did not feel anything. But when they heard the second half, they could not help but laugh out loud. Provocation, a blatant provocation. Ningyu was obviously looking down on Zhao Kuo. In other words, Ningyu did not take Zhao Kuo seriously at all. "Humph. You only know how to use your tongue. I still have 7 to 8 minutes to refine a high-grade yuan melting pill, and then you'll be crying." Zhao Kuo took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing the anger in his heart, and focused all his attention on refining the pill. Fortunately, he had a firm mind. Otherwise, just based on what Ningyu said just now, his furnace of energy transformation pills would have been ruined. "Don't worry, I'll definitely be the one laughing." Ningyu shrugged, then threw a medicinal ingredient into the pill furnace. Because Peng Zhou was present, Ningyu did not throw all the medicinal ingredients into the pill furnace at once. Instead, he refined the medicinal ingredients in an honest manner. Although Peng Zhou would be able to find out Ningyu's crazy way of refining pills in the past with a little investigation, those pills were all grade 4 pills, or even pills lower than grade 4. Ningyu had never used that kind of crazy refining method to refine grade 5 pills in front of others. At least, in an occasion where Peng Zhou was present, Ningyu did not want to expose himself too much. Defeating Siduan in an overwhelming manner, and using the waste 5 elements flour to refine a supreme grade true martial pill, Ningyu did all these things for Peng Zhou to see. It was to create an illusion for Peng Zhou that there was someone behind him, so that when Peng Zhou wanted to make a move on him, he would have to think twice. Some things it was not good to expose too much. Ningyu understood this. Therefore, he refined the Huiyuan pill in an honest manner. It was just that his refining speed was slightly faster than Zhao Kuo's. Ningyu's attainments in refining pills are really profound. Even though Ningyu had held back, in Peng Zhou's eyes, he was still a freak. At this rate, it is still unknown whether Zhao Kuo can win or not. In fact, it was no wonder that Peng Zhou was shocked. Ningyu had refined the Huiyuan pill one step later than Zhao Kuo. If he succeeded before Zhao Kuo, how would Zhao Kuo feel? Most likely, he would start to doubt his life. Drip, drip. Time passed bit by bit. In such a big room, no one made a sound. There was only the sound of the medicinal ingredients being refined. As time passed, Zhao Kuo's expression became more and more excited. In the end, he almost jumped up. "Ha ha, Ningyu, I'm about to form the pill. Keep up the good work." In the next moment, Zhao Kuo laughed loudly and slapped the cauldron. The lid flew up, and a smooth and round pill was about to burst out from the cauldron. Crack! At this moment, Ningyu's eyes widened. With a thought of his soul force, the cauldron exploded. Swoosh! After the cauldron exploded, a similar smooth and round pill was firmly held in Ningyu's hand. "I'm sorry, I'm the one who formed the pill first, not you." Ningyu slowly opened his fist. In the center of his palm, there was a smooth and round pill. The sudden change made Zhao Kuo's mouth slightly open. He was speechless for a long time. Gulp! After a while, Zhao Kuo swallowed a mouthful of saliva and cursed, saying what was in his heart. "Is this even possible?" Zhao Kuo was speechless as he stared at the origin energy pill in the mouth of the cauldron. He was supposed to be the first to form the pill, but who would have thought that Ningyu would not play by the rules and directly shatter the cauldron? Since the cauldron had been shattered, the first to form the pill was naturally Ningyu. After all, the origin energy pills refined by both of them were superior grade pills. "Zhao Kuo, thank you for the 200,000 supreme grade yuan crystals." While Zhao Kuo was still in a daze, Ningyu teleported and snatched Zhao Kuo's storage bag. Not bad. 200,000 supreme grade yuan crystals. After checking the yuan crystals in the storage bag, Ningyu nodded in satisfaction and said, "I'll say it again. The next time something this good happens, let me know first." "Let me know? I'll let your whole family know." Zhao Kuo was trembling with anger. He was on the verge of exploding after being defeated by Ningyu again and again. Chapter 581. Trouble Comes Knocking Senior. My martial arts and alchemy battles with Zhaokuo are over. If there's nothing else, may I take my leave? Ningyu was too lazy to pay any attention to Zhaokuo. After all, it was inevitable for a defeated opponent to say some harsh words, so there was no need to take it to heart. What Ningyu cared about now was Peng Zhou's opinion. In other words, it was up to Peng Zhou to let him go. Peng Zhou was a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm and an early-stage 8th-grade alchemist. If Peng Zhou wanted to make things difficult for him, there was nothing he could do. I can leave, but… Peng Zhou frowned slightly and hesitated for a while before saying, tomorrow is the alchemy competition. If you don't have a suitable place to stay, the Alchemy Union can provide you with a good place to cultivate. Thank you for your kindness, Senior. I've already arranged a place for you to stay, so you don't have to worry about it. Ningyu directly rejected Peng Zhou. Stay in the Alchemy Union? What a joke. Ningyu wasn't that stupid. Staying in the Alchemy Union was no different from staying in a tiger's den. Not only did they have to guard against Zhaokuo's crafty plots, they also had to guard against Peng Zhou's interference. Since it's like that, then I won't ask him to stay. Peng Zhou smiled and said, Ren Xiangtian, send him off. Farewell. Ningyu first cupped his hands towards Peng Zhou, then left the room with Lu Wei and the others. Not long after Ningyu left, Peng Zhou's face turned completely gloomy. Master, Ningyu is too arrogant. We have to take him down a peg, Zhaokuo said coldly with a fierce look in his eyes. Humph! I told you not to be careless, but you didn't listen. Look at you now. Not only did he lose to Ningyu in the martial competition, he even lost to him in the alchemy competition. At this moment, Peng Zhou was in a fit of anger. It would have been better if Zhaokuo had not said anything, but once he did, Peng Zhou frowned. You want to get into the top 3 in the alchemy competition? Dream on. From now on, until the alchemy competition starts, don't go anywhere. Stay here and reflect on your actions. While speaking, Peng Zhou left the room, leaving behind a dumbfounded Zhaokuo. Ningyu, in the alchemy competition, I will make you lose all your face. After a brief moment of being dumbfounded, Zhaokuo clenched his fists tightly as a cold and gloomy expression appeared on his face. Whoosh! Ningyu had no idea what Zhaokuo was thinking. However, even if Ningyu knew about it, he would just laugh it off. Be it martial arts or alchemy, Zhaokuo was no match for him. It could be said that Zhaokuo was far inferior to him. Against a martial artist like Zhaokuo, Ningyu did not even need to use his full strength. Brother Ren, please wait. Outside the Alchemy Union, Ningyu turned around and said, Let's meet again tomorrow at the alchemy competition. You've offended 2 of the top 3 geniuses in the Alchemy Union. Ren Xiangtian moved closer to Ningyu and said in a low voice, Zhaokuo will probably be grounded, and President Peng Zhou will not do anything to you due to his status. You just need to be careful of Situan. At this point, Ren Xiangtian looked around and transmitted his voice to Ningyu. Situan has been very close to the 9th prince recently. The 9th prince? Ningyu was slightly stunned. Ningyu had some understanding of the 9th prince. Back when Ouyangba brought him and Li Tongtian to the Frost Manor, they stayed in a luxurious palace because it was getting late. Unexpectedly, they were ambushed by a mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist that night. Just as Ningyu and the Dark Emperor joined forces to kill the mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, the 9th prince arrived. Although Ningyu managed to kill the martial artist in the end, he had completely offended the 9th prince. That's right. Ever since the incident in Tianyuan Tower, the 9th prince has suddenly risen to power with the 6th prince, the 1st prince, and the 3rd prince. Ren Xiangtian nodded and said, It seems that Ouyangba has suppressed the news of Ouyang-Hai's death. Since Ren Xiangtian said that it was a 4-way alliance, it seemed that the news of Ouyang-Hai's death had not spread. Brother, thank you for your reminder. I'll be extra careful tonight. Ningyu cupped his fists at Ren Xiangtian and walked away without looking back. Ren Xiangtian hesitated in front of the Alchemy Union for a while until Ning Yu's figure completely disappeared before he entered the Alchemy Union. Where to now? On the streets of the capital, Li Tongtian frowned and said, "Tomorrow is the alchemy competition. We should have a good rest tonight." Xikong Ling's place, Ning Yu said. Actually, when he was at the Alchemy Union, Ning Yu had already thought of a place to go. Xikong Ling's place was spacious with many rooms, enough to accommodate many people. Most importantly, Xikong Ling was a young master of the black market. His identity could cover up many things. If I'm not mistaken, Xikong Ling is just an insignificant young master of the black market. There are many young masters who are stronger than him in the black market, Li Tongtian said doubtfully. Rather than going to Xikong Ling's place, why don't we go back to Danwu College? I've been through life and death with Xikong Ling. It's not a bad idea to go to his place. Ning Yu waved his hand, gesturing for Li Tongtian not to say anything more. At this critical juncture, Ning Yu naturally did not want to go to Danwu College. After all, there were many people in Danwu College, and there were many powerful cultivators there. If they discovered any clues, it would not be worth it. Since Ning Yu had spoken, Li Tongtian did not say much and followed behind Ning Yu. Swoosh. At the same time, in a luxurious palace in the capital, a few cultivators were facing each other. If Ning Yu was here, he would definitely realize that he knew one of the cultivators. It was none other than Xikong Ling. However, Xikong Ling's face was slightly pale and his breathing was extremely unstable. In front of Xikong Ling, there were 4 cultivators. 3 of them were in the middle stage of the primal core stage. One of them had even reached the pinnacle of the primal core stage. Xikong Ling, I advise you to surrender as soon as possible. That way, you can avoid a lot of physical pain. The pinnacle of the primal core stage cultivator laughed evilly and said, "Among all the young masters in the black market, you are not even in the top 3. Relying on young master Hu Fei is the best choice." You want me to rely on that useless Hu Fei? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? Xikong Ling spat and said coldly, Hu Fei is only in the middle stage of the true martial realm. If he did not have a good father, he would not even be the young master of the black market. Among all the young masters in the black market, I am indeed not in the top 3, but Hu Fei is not even in the top 10. Even if you take me down today, Hu Fei will still not be the top young master of the black market. You don't have to worry about that. The pinnacle of the primal core stage cultivator smiled and said, "This time, we have sent out a few teams. All the young masters who are ahead of Hu Fei in the black market have 2 choices. First, submit to young master Hu Fei and become his servant." Chapter 582. Chapter 582, I introducitio and pledge allegiance whoosh. The moment the word die was uttered, the peak primal core martial artist unleashed his aura and suppressed Xikong Ling. Xikong Ling was already severely injured, and now he was being suppressed by the peak primal core martial artist. How could he withstand it? Spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Xikong Ling's breathing became even weaker. His entire body swayed as if he would collapse at any moment. Xikong Ling, I'll give you one last chance. The peak primal core martial artist retracted some of his aura and said coldly, "Surrender or die." Surrender? Xikong Ling tried his best to control his body as he said coldly, "All right, since you've surrendered to Hu Fei, then we're family." Hearing Xikong Ling's words, the peak primal core martial artist immediately retracted all of his aura and said, "From now on, surrender my ass." However, before the peak primal core martial artist could finish his sentence, Xikong Ling rose from the ground, his right fist carrying a violent gust of yuan qi as it viciously punched towards his chest. Seeking death. Looking at Xikong Ling, who was getting closer and closer to him, the peak primal core stage warrior's face darkened to the extreme. He didn't expect Sikong Ling to refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. You're seeking death, you can't blame me. Since that was the case, the peak primal core martial artist decided to teach Sikong Ling a lesson and let him know why flowers are red. In the next moment, the Yuan Qi in the peak primal core martial artist's consciousness poured out and wrapped around his wrist. Then, it unavoidably collided with Sikong Ling's right fist. Crack! The moment the two fists collided, a crisp sound accompanied by a squeal like a pig being slaughtered rang through the area. What? This is impossible! Sikong Ling is only a peak true martial realm martial artist. How can he have such powerful combat power? This sudden turn of events caused the other three mid-primal core stage warriors to be dumbfounded. They never imagined that Sikong Ling could actually have such powerful combat power that even a peak primal core martial artist was no match for him. What are you all standing there for? Go, go! Tear Sikong Ling to pieces. The martial artist at the peak of the Yuan Dan stage was furious and wanted nothing more than to kill Sikong Ling. However, he knew that now that his right hand was crippled, his battle prowess would decrease by at least a few tenths. If he made a move at this time, what if Sikong Ling made another vicious move? Wouldn't he die here? Hence, the martial artist at the peak of the primal core stage let the other three martial artists take action, while he stayed behind to treat his right hand. Bang! 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 Sikong Ling had just used the creation state palm that Ningyu had given him to break the right hand of the pinnacle of the primal core stage, but at the same time, he himself was on the brink of collapse. The palm of the fortune realm could not be used casually. With Sikong Ling's cultivation at the peak of the true martial realm, he could not completely control it. Without the support of the manifestation stage hand, Sikong Ling was naturally no match for the three mid-primal core stage warriors. In an instant, he was struck in the chest by their attacks and was sent flying back several feet. Wait! Just as the three mid-Yuan Dan stage martial artists were about to kill Sikong Ling, the peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist shouted, "Force him to hand over the antidote." Antidote? Hearing this, the three mid-Yuan Dan stage martial artists were stunned, and then they turned their gazes to the peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist. It would have been fine if they did not look, but when they did, they sucked in a breath of cold air. At this time, the peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist was in a terrible state. His entire right hand had turned green, and there was a faint sign that it was going to rot. Ha ha ha, there's no antidote. If you want to kill me, you'll have to pay a price first. Sikong Ling threw his head back and laughed. Price? The price is that if you don't hand over the antidote, I'll tear you to pieces today. The peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist resisted the sharp pain in his right hand and said coldly, "If you know what's good for you, hand over the antidote as soon as possible. Otherwise, I have 100 ways to kill you." Is that so? Just as the peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist finished speaking, his expression changed drastically. That was because a soft voice rang out beside his ear. Creak! A moment later, the originally tightly shut door was pushed open, and a group of 4 or 5 people walked in side by side. Ningyu? Looking at the familiar figure at the front, Sikong Ling's face lit up, and his tense nerves relaxed slightly. Initially, Sikong Ling was relying on his last breath to support his body, but now that his last breath was gone, he directly fell backwards. Swoosh! Ningyu reacted quickly and caught Sikong Ling firmly. Fengzi, take care of Sikong Ling first, leave the rest to me. Ningyu first handed Sikong Ling over to Fengzi, then walked step by step towards the peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist. Ningyu was furious, extremely furious. He and Sikong Ling had a special relationship, and now Sikong Ling's breathing was weak, and his right hand had almost suffered a backlash. One must know that Sikong Ling's right hand was at the creation stage, and once it suffered a backlash, the consequences would be unthinkable. Ningyu naturally wanted to help Sikong Ling get back at him. and the Peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist before him was undoubtedly a target for Ning Yu to vent his anger on. "Tell me your identity, and I can consider letting you live." "Let me live? Ah." The Peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist thought that Sikong Ling's helpers had arrived, and when he felt the aura emanating from Ning Yu and the rest, he could not help but laugh out loud. Afraid of causing unnecessary trouble, Ning Yu asked Li Tongtian and the rest to conceal their auras, and ordinary people would only appear to be at the true martial realm. Especially Ning Yu himself, the aura he emanated was only at the beginning stage of the true martial realm, so weak that it could not be any weaker. "Don't think that my strength has decreased by quite a few %, but dealing with you is very easy." The Peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist laughed coldly. "Today, I will let you know that some things cannot be pretentious." Swoosh! As he spoke, the pinnacle of the primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner rose from the ground and rushed towards Ning Yu at an astonishing speed. However, when the Peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist reached Ning Yu's side, he was dumbfounded. At this moment, Ning Yu was long gone. "Sai, you're really too slow." Ning Yu appeared behind the Peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist, patted him on the shoulder, and sighed softly. "If you're so slow, you'll get beaten up." Pung! As he spoke, Ning Yu's right hand struck out through the air, hitting the Peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist squarely on the back. The immense force caused the pinnacle of the primal core stage martial artist to fall directly to the ground, face down. "Do you want to surrender yourselves, or do I have to make a move?" After casually defeating the Peak Yuan Dan stage martial artist, Ning Yu stopped and turned to the other 3 mid-Yuan Dan stage martial artists. "You can think about it. If you surrender yourselves, I can spare your lives. If I have to make a move, you won't be so lucky." The 3 mid-Yuan Dan stage martial artists looked at each other and replied in unison. "We swear our loyalty to young master Hu Fei." Chapter 583. The man in gray looks like this. Hu Fei young master's charisma is not bad, to be able to make you die for him. Ning Yu shrugged, then threw out 3 consecutive punches, each landing on the hearts of the 3 mid-primal core stage martial artists. The 3 mid-primal core stage martial artists spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, their eyes wide open. Even in death, they still could not understand how Ning Yu, who was only in the early stages of the true martial realm, could have such a strong fighting ability. "I've dealt with them, now it's your turn." After killing the 3 mid-primal core stage martial artists, Ning Yu once again came before the peak primal core stage martial artist and said calmly, "You have 2 choices. Tell me who this Hu Fei is and what your next plan is, or die." The moment the word die was uttered, Ning Yu's entire body's aura was unleashed without reservation, and it recklessly suppressed the peak primal core stage martial artist. Being suppressed by such a ferocious aura, the peak primal core stage martial artist's expression was extremely ugly, and he wished he could dig a hole and hide in it. History was repeating itself. History was really repeating itself. Originally, he was the one who had done this to Sikong Ling, but now it was his turn. Hu Fei is the young master of the black market, but he is not even in the top 10 of the black market. In order to survive, the peak primal core stage martial artist hurriedly said. "Not even in the top 10? Ning Yu raised an eyebrow and said calmly, "If that's the case, then Hu Fei's backing must be very strong." "That's right, Hu Fei's backing is indeed very strong. His backing is in the black market." The peak primal core stage martial artist nodded, but before he could finish his sentence, his eyes widened, and he spat out a mouthful of black blood, dying on the spot. Who? Perhaps Sikong Ling and the rest did not see clearly, but Ning Yu saw it clearly. Just as the peak primal core stage martial artist was about to reveal Hu Fei's backing, a cold light appeared in the air and directly pierced the peak primal core stage martial artist's neck. Killed in one blow. Truly killed in one blow. Clap, clap, clap. Then, the sound of hands clapping came from outside the door. Not long after, a middle-aged man in gray slowly appeared in front of Ning Yu and the others. Peak Middle Yin Yang Realm. Seeing the gray-clothed man in their field of vision, Zhou Tong and Sikong Ling's hearts instantly sank to the bottom. If a peak middle stage Yin Yang Realm martial artist wanted to kill them, it would be effortless. Ning Yu, I'll block him, you leave quickly. Sikong Ling even broke free from Feng Zi's grasp and stood in front of Ning Yu. Leave? With me, Ding Hua, here today, none of you can leave. The corners of the gray-robed man's lips curled up into an arc as he said darkly, If you know what's good for you, then surrender as soon as possible. No, there's no point in surrendering because all of you will die today. Why should I leave? Ning Yu had no intention of leaving. He said indifferently, a mere middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist can't do anything to me. Hey, I think you won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Ding Hua smiled evilly and said, Fine, today I'll let you know the consequences of bragging. Swoosh. While talking, Ding Hua rose from the ground and charged towards Ning Yu. You guys step back for now. Let me deal with this so-called Ding Hua. Ning Yu first waved his hand at Lu Xuan and the others. Then, a glint of coldness flashed in his eyes. The primordial qi in his ocean of consciousness gathered on his wrist, and he turned his hand to meet Ding Hua's palm. Smack! When the two palms met, there was no earth-shattering event. There was only a hint of solemnity on Ding Hua's face. Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Through the hasty exchange, Ding Hua basically judged that Ning Yu's strength was on par with him. Ning Yu even faintly had a tendency to suppress him. This made Ding Hua feel a little embarrassed. One had to know, he was a peak middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, while Ning Yu's cultivation was several levels lower than his. Ning Yu can actually contend with a peak middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Too inconceivable. Ning Yu fighting Ding Hua to a draw in one move truly made Zhou Tong and Sikong Ling extremely surprised. They had never seen Ning Yu's might before. It was inevitable that they would be shocked. Woof woof. Right at this time, Hairy Ball tunneled out from Lu Wei's bosom and revealed a small head, barking at Zhou Tong and Sikong Ling twice in dissatisfaction. Furthermore, Hairy Ball shot a glance at Ding Hua, revealing a disdainful look. That expression seemed to be saying, isn't it just a middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist? What's the big deal? Being mocked by a dog, Zhou Tong and Sikong Ling were somewhat embarrassed. But as embarrassed as they were, their eyes were still fixed on the battlefield, staring at Ning Yu who was fighting with Ding Hua. I admit that you're very strong. Ding Hua's eyes locked onto Ning Yu, and he said in a deep voice, but compared to me, you're still slightly lacking. Now you have two choices. The first. No, I don't want to choose either. Ning Yu directly interrupted Ding Hua's words and said, on the contrary, you have two choices. The first is to submit to me, the second is to die. Courting death. Ding Hua felt insulted and immediately leaped up, rushing towards Ning Yu again. Solitaire. Ning Yu's eyes turned cold, and he immediately drew out the soul-severing sword, at the same time slashing out a shocking sword wave. The red demon sword was advancing towards the Emperor level, so Ning Yu naturally could not use it. Fortunately, he still had the soul-severing sword in hand, otherwise Ning Yu could only rely on his hands to fight Ding Hua. It's just a small trick. Ding Hua did not take the sword wave that was coming towards him seriously. Instead, he flicked his sleeves, and in an instant, two cold lights swept out. One of the cold lights attacked the sword wave, and the other one attacked Ning Yu. Ning Yu, this day next year will be your... What? After the two cold lights attacked, Ding Hua seemed to see the scene of Ning Yu being killed, and he said coldly. However, halfway through his cold words, his pupils shrank sharply, and he could not help but retreat. Swoosh. Because Ding Hua found that as soon as the cold lights came into contact with the sword wave, they were blown away. Moreover, the sword wave that Ningyu slashed out did not stop because of this. Instead, its speed soared further, and it slashed towards his neck. Puff! Although Ding Hua retreated immediately, he still underestimated the speed of the sword wave. It didn't take long for the sword wave to catch up with him. Fortunately, he dodged to the side at the critical moment. Otherwise, with just this sword wave, Ningyu would be able to kill him. Zhou Tong and Xikong Ling, who were at the side, were already dumbfounded. Even Li Tongtian and Feng Zi felt that it was somewhat unbelievable. The reason why Li Tongtian and Feng Zi felt that it was unbelievable was because they felt that they had once again underestimated Ningyu. They felt that Ningyu was really too abnormal. Originally, in their opinion, Ningyu's strength was between the beginner and intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang realm, and he could at most contend with intermediate stage martial artists. However, the powerful strength that Ningyu displayed now was completely beyond their expectations. Ding Hua was a martial artist at the peak of intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang realm, but he was actually not a match for Ningyu. Chapter 584. The leader of the black market, Ningyu, it seems that I have underestimated you. At this time, Ding Hua's eyes flickered. He was obviously afraid of his carelessness. If you only have this little ability, then I can tell you very clearly that this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Ding Hua took a deep breath and immediately took out a white elixir from his bosom and swallowed it in front of everyone. Swish! As the white elixir went into his stomach, Ding Hua's aura rose at an extremely alarming rate. The peak of the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm. Late stage of Yin-Yang realm. In just a few seconds, Ding Hua's cultivation was forcibly raised from the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm to the late stage of Yin-Yang realm, and there was no sign of it continuing to increase. Everyone, step back. Seeing that Ding Hua's cultivation had skyrocketed, Ningyu said in a deep voice, Xikong Ling, bring everyone to a safe place. Leave Ding Hua to me. You'll handle it? It depends on whether you have that ability. The corner of Ding Hua's mouth raised. The moment his voice fell, he immediately leaped up, and a monstrous primordial qi unscrupulously suppressed Xikong Ling and the others. Swoosh! At the critical moment, Ningyu exerted his speed to the extreme and blocked in front of Xikong Ling and the others in the blink of an eye. At the same time, a wave of primordial qi that was not weaker than Ding Hua's gushed out from Ningyu's body and came into direct contact with Ding Hua's primordial qi. Qi. After the two waves of primordial qi came into contact, they were actually evenly matched, and no one could do anything to the other. Go! At this moment, Xikong Ling seized the opportunity and hurriedly said, There is a secret room in my mansion that can withstand a full blow from a warrior in the late stage of Yin-Yang realm. Go, leave quickly. Yes, we can't cause trouble for Ningyu. Hurry up, so that Ningyu can wholeheartedly deal with Ding Hua without any worries. Feng Zi and the others were not fools. They naturally knew that leaving at this time was the wisest choice. In just a few seconds, Feng Zi and the others all left. At this time, only Ningyu and Ding Hua were left in this area. Ding Hua, I didn't want to get involved in the fight with the young master of your black market, but you shouldn't have attacked Xikong Ling. After Lu Wei and the others left, Ningyu felt a little relieved. Honestly speaking, with Xikong Ling and the others here, Ningyu really couldn't reveal his trump card. You shouldn't have? It was as if Ding Hua had heard the funniest joke in the world. He first threw his head back and laughed wildly, then said coldly, The fight for the position of black market young master has always been very cruel. Xikong Ling can only blame himself for not having a strong backer. A powerful backer? Ningyu raised his eyebrows and said calmly, What do you think of me? You? Ding Hua stared at Ningyu, then shook his head and said, Although your strength is passable, compared to young master who phase backer, it's far too lacking. Far too lacking, huh? Then you see how much you're lacking in this case. The corners of Ning Yu's mouth curled up slightly, and he said coolly, "Come out." "Come out? Who, what?" Hearing Ning Yu's words, Ding Hua was a little puzzled. However, just as he was puzzled, two cold lights suddenly swept out from the storage ring on Ning Yu's wrist. In an instant, the two martial artists landed steadily in front of Ning Yu. Feeling the powerful aura exuding from the two martial artists, Ding Hua's heart sank to the bottom. One of the martial artists' aura was vigorous. Without a doubt, his cultivation had reached the peak of late-stage yin-yang realm. Although the other was slightly weaker, his cultivation had also reached the peak of middle-stage yin-yang realm. Although Ding Hua took the elixir to raise his cultivation to late-stage yin-yang realm, his late-stage yin-yang realm was just a dabbler. In front of a real late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, it was not enough at all. It could be said that the martial artist at the peak of late-stage yin-yang realm in front of him only needed 2 or 3 moves to defeat him. Run. At this moment, there was only one thought in Ding Hua's mind, and that was to run. Swoosh. As soon as the idea arose, it lingered, and Ding Hua directly put it into action. Chase. How could Ning Yu allow Ding Hua to escape? The moment Ding Hua moved, he said to Ling Mian and Evil Eye, "Within 1 minute, dead or alive." Swoosh. Swoosh. When Evil Eye and Ling Mian came out, they locked their aura on Ding Hua. As soon as Ning Yu gave the order, the two of them turned into two shadows and chased after Ding Hua. Ling Mian did not let Ning Yu down. In just 30 seconds, they caught Ding Hua. Moreover, Ding Hua's aura was weak at this time, as if he would die at any time. "I'll give you one last chance to live. Tell me Hu Fei's background and your next move." Ning Yu's tone was cold, and he said in a deep voice, "Also, what is the cultivation of the strongest martial artist in the black market?" "Ha ha, you want me to say this? You're dreaming." Ding Hua laughed wildly, as if he did not care about life and death. "I have a way to know even if you don't tell me." Ning Yu shrugged and then transmitted his voice to Sun Jiangwen. "How many supreme-grade crystals will it cost to use that array to force out the information that Ding Hua knows?" There were a total of 2 arrays in the storage ring. One was used to remove the special smell of the corpse insect martial artists, and the other was used to control the martial artist. Both arrays were arranged by Sun Jiangwen, so he knew very well how many crystals would be consumed. Ding Hua is a martial artist at the intermediate stage of yin-yang realm. It will cost 10,000 supreme-grade crystals to control him. Sun Jiangwen answered honestly. 10,000 is not much. Ning Yu thought for a moment and said, "How long will it take?" 3 hours if he's alive, 3 or 4 minutes if he's dead, Sun Jiangwen said. Ling Mian, kill Ding Hua, and then bring him to the storage ring for Sun Jiangwen to deal with. Ning Yu's original idea was to kill Ding Hua. This way, it could give a deterrent effect to Hu Fei's backer and send a message to them that Xikong Ling's backer was not weak either. To be able to easily kill a martial artist at the intermediate stage of yin-yang realm, his cultivation must at least be at the advanced stage of yin-yang realm, or even the peak stage of yin-yang realm. In the future, if the young master of the black market wanted to make a move on Xikong Ling, he would have to think twice. Ning Yu, you can't kill me. Hu Fei's backer is from the black market. Pucci. Hearing that Ning Yu wanted to kill him, Ding Hua shouted like crazy. However, he had only shouted halfway when he stopped abruptly. Swish. The next moment, Ling Mian and Evil Eye, one on the left and one on the right, grabbed Ding Hua and swept into the storage ring. Swoosh. 4 to 5 minutes later, Ding Hua was thrown out of the storage ring, and he was no longer breathing. Hu Fei's backer is one of the 3 great elders of the black market, and his cultivation is at the peak stage of yin-yang realm. At this moment, Sun Jiangwen's voice sounded in Ning Yu's ear. Ding Hua and the rest were sent by that peak stage yin-yang realm martial artist in order to get rid of all the young masters who are ranked before Hu Fei. Is the black market going to be in turmoil? Ning Yu frowned slightly and said, What is the cultivation of the strongest person in the black market? Chapter 585. Seed Young Master, the current helmsman of the black market, Black Widow, is rumored to already have half a foot into the creation realm. When Sun Jiangwen's words fell, Ning Yu's expression became solemn. Organizations like the black market generally did not allow outsiders to intervene in their internal struggles, unless the outsider's strength was extremely heaven-defying, and Ning Yu's strength clearly had not reached the level of heaven-defying yet. Even if the Alchemy Hall Master was by his side and the Red Fiend's sword advanced to monarch rank, it was also impossible for him to be a match for a half-step creation realm martial artist. Moreover, Hu Fei's backer was one of the black market's three great elders, whose cultivation had reached the peak of Yin-Yang realm. I also don't know if helping Xikong Ling is right or wrong. Ningyu sucked in a deep breath and muttered. Helping Xikong Ling meant that he had to fight with the other powerhouses of the black market. To the current Ningyu, the pressure was still very great. Forget it, things will sort themselves out when they come to it. After a while, Ningyu shook his head and went to find Xikong Ling. At the same time, inside the secret chamber where Xikong Ling was. I wonder if Ningyu can defeat Ding Hua. Xikong Ling paced back and forth in the secret chamber, his face revealing an anxious look. Although Ningyu's strength was very strong, Ding Hua consumed medicinal pills to raise his cultivation to the late-stage Yin-Yang realm. Ningyu might be able to contend with the middle-stage Ding Hua of the Yin-Yang realm, but against the late-stage Ding Hua of the Yin-Yang realm, he might not be able to gain the upper hand. Logically speaking, it's not difficult for Ningyu to defeat Ding Hua, Feng Zi said with a frown. Feng Zi stayed in the storage ring for a very long time and naturally knew that there were powerhouses like Ling Mian and Evil Eye in the storage ring. Regardless of whether it was Ling Mian or Evil Eye, they could contend with Ding Hua and even kill him. If the two of them attacked together, Ding Hua probably would not even last a minute. However, it wasn't convenient for Feng Zi to tell Xikong Ling about these things, so he could only comfort him. What we need to do now is to wait. I believe it won't be long before Ningyu comes to find us. That's right. You have to trust in Ningyu. Li Tongtian more or less knew about the situation inside the storage ring, so he was more at ease with Ningyu. But, hearing this, Xikong Ling still wanted to say something, but his face lit up. Dong dong. A crisp knocking sound rang out in the secret chamber. Xikong Ling, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and open the door for me. Outside the secret chamber, Ningyu looked at the sturdy stone door and said unhappily. If it wasn't for the fear of destroying the secret room, Ningyu really wanted to test his strength. After all, Xikong Ling had said that this secret room could block a full-powered attack from a late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Creak. Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, the heavy stone door slowly opened from the inside. Ningyu, it's great that you're fine. Scared me to death. Did Ding Hua leave or die? As soon as Ningyu stepped into the secret chamber, Xikong Ling and the others came to greet him. Hearing everyone's discussion, Ningyu was speechless for a while and said, I'll give a unified answer. I'm fine, very good. Ding Hua didn't leave. He's already been killed. What? Ding Hua was killed? Hearing this, Zhou Tong and Xikong Ling revealed a horrified expression. Ding Hua was a mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, and he was killed just like that? If Ningyu could kill Ding Hua, how strong was his own strength? A series of questions appeared in Xikong Ling and Zhou Tong's mind. Even the way they looked at Ningyu was a little strange. Ningyu almost thought that they had a special hobby. Xikong Ling, what's your ranking among all the young masters in the black market? Ningyu hurriedly changed the topic and asked, Can I be in the top 3? Top 3 is impossible, but top 5 is possible. Xikong Ling shook his head and said, The first young master of the black market, Zhou Jiaming, peak Yuan Dan stage cultivation. The second young master, Han Qi, peak Yuan Dan stage cultivation. The third young master is Yu Ling, peak Yuan Dan stage cultivation. I'm at the peak of the true martial realm, ranked 4th among all the young masters. You're ranked 4th among all the young masters? Why is there such a big gap between your cultivation and the top 3? Ningyu frowned and said, the top 3 young masters of the black market were all at the peak Yuan Dan cultivation. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the 4th young master to only be at the peak of the true martial realm. This was too illogical. Xikong Ling explained, there's no other way. The top 3 young masters of the black market all have a strong background. The black market has 3 elders, all of whom are at the peak of the yin-yang realm. And all 3 of them have young masters who support Han Qi, Yu Ling, and Hu Fei, who is only at the early stage of the true martial realm. Recently, the upper echelons of the black market have decided to choose a seated young master to be the next leader of the black market. So every young master's background is doing their best to fight for the young master they support to break out of the encirclement. After listening to Xikong Ling's words, Ningyu fell into deep thought. From the looks of it, if Xikong Ling wanted to break out from all the other young masters, just having a strong background was not enough. He had to be strong himself. Otherwise, everything would be empty talk. After all, the peak of the true martial realm and the peak of the primal core realm were separated by a huge gap. With Xikong Ling's talent, it would be very difficult to overcome. After a moment, Ningyu said, how confident are you that you can win the seated young master? Me? Xikong Ling pointed at his nose and smiled bitterly. Although I also have a background, my background is only at the late stage of the yin-yang realm. Today, my background did not come, so it seems that he has been restricted. Besides, my cultivation is only at the peak of the true martial realm. Even if I have a strong background, it will be very difficult to fight for the seated young master. When will the seated young master selection begin? Ningyu frowned. Half a month later, Xikong Ling said. Half a month's time, Ningyu murmured. In half a month's time, to let Xikong Ling advance from the peak of the true martial realm to the peak of the primal core realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. However, advancing to the early stage of the primal core realm, or even the middle stage of the primal core realm, was still possible. If Xikong Ling learned a few more powerful techniques, he might be able to fight for the seated young master. These 2 days, you should rest well and adjust your mental state to its peak. Ningyu thought about it and decided to fight for Xikong Ling. In these few days, I will get you a supreme grade essence transformation pill. You should strive to break through to the primal core realm. A supreme grade essence transformation pill. Xikong Ling's eyes widened, his face full of shock. The essence transformation pill was a peak 5th grade medicinal pill. It was an essential medicinal pill for martial artists at the peak of the true martial realm to advance to the primal core realm. And a supreme grade essence transformation pill was even more difficult to obtain. If I have a supreme grade essence transformation pill, I can even directly advance to the middle stage of the primal core realm. Xikong Ling said firmly. Very good. Ningyu nodded, then with a flick of his sleeve, a slightly yellowed book appeared in his hand. There were a few large words on the book. Heaven Opening Desolation Palm. Heaven Opening Desolation Palm was a soul attack technique that Ningyu had obtained from the Zhang clan's Zhang Jin. At the beginning, when Ningyu's cultivation was low, cultivating it was of great help to him. But as Ningyu's strength increased, cultivating the Heaven Opening Desolation Palm was no longer of much use. Chapter 586. Tracking, Heaven Opening Palm of Desolation? Seeing the words on the yellowed book, not only Xikong Ling's jaw dropped, but even Feng Zi and Li Tongtian's jaws dropped, their faces full of disbelief. That's right, Heaven Opening Palm of Desolation, an attack on the soul. Ningyu casually threw the book to Xikong Ling and said, try to train it to the 3rd palm before the Battle of Seeds. That way, when you reach the middle stage of the primal core stage, your overall ability should be able to compete with the peak of the primal core stage. Such a valuable item, Sikong Ling hesitated as he held the book. Don't be so wishy-washy, just take it. Why do you have so many things to worry about? Ningyu pretended to be angry and said, I'm not giving it to you without conditions. I have a few friends who have nowhere to go and want to stay here for a while. That shouldn't be a problem, right? No problem, of course not a problem. After a short pause, Sikong Ling hurriedly said, You can stay as long as you want, but, at this point, Sikong Ling looked embarrassed and continued, Now that I'm being watched by Hu Fei, I'm afraid this place is not very safe. You don't have to worry about safety. Ningyu smiled and said, As long as one of the 3 elders of the black market doesn't come, no one can do anything to them. How powerful are your friends? Sikong Ling asked doubtfully. Creak. At this moment, the heavy stone door opened again. Then, a few warriors walked in side by side. Even though Sikong Ling was mentally prepared, he could not help but suck in a breath of cold air when he saw the sudden appearance of a few cultivators. A peak of the late yin-yang stage. A peak of the middle yin-yang stage. A mid-yin-yang stage, and 2 early yin-yang stage warriors. There was even a peak of the primal core stage warrior with a 7th grade soul power. It was hard to imagine that such a luxurious lineup was actually all Ningyu's friends. Gulp. Besides Sikong Ling, Zhou Tong and the rest also swallowed their saliva. It turned out that the lineup around Ningyu was so luxurious. No wonder they could easily kill Ding Hua of the mid-yin-yang stage. With so many warriors working together, they could even fight against a peak yin-yang realm warrior. Chairman Zhou, you guys will temporarily stay here with Sikong Ling today. Don't go anywhere else. Ningyu ignored the shock of Zhou Tong and the others and said directly, I have something to do later, so I might have to leave for a while. You're leaving? Hearing this, Zhou Tong was startled and then said, These are not normal times. In my opinion, you should stay here with us so that we can look after each other. Zhou Tong was very clear that since Ningyu had offended Situwen and Zhao Kuo in the Alchemy Union, with their nature, there was an 80% chance that they would seek revenge. Ningyu's decision to leave at this time was undoubtedly the wrong choice. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Ningyu waved his hand and said. Tomorrow was the alchemy competition, but Ningyu did not even have a decent alchemy furnace. Therefore, Ningyu planned to make use of this time to buy an alchemy furnace. Since Ling Mian and Evil Eye were here, the safety of Lu Wei and the rest would not be too much of a problem. Ningyu, I want to go with you. However, before Ningyu left the secret room, Lu Wei quickly caught up and said, I don't want to stay here. I want to make a trip to Danwu College. Li Tongtian also took a step forward and said, I also have something to do. Feng Zi hesitated for a moment and said the same. Ningyu's face was full of black lines. All right, let's go together. As he spoke, Ningyu directly left the secret room. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, Zhou Tong and Sikong Ling would also want to leave. Feng Zi and Li Tongtian were still fine. After all, they were very strong, and at least if they encountered a peak primal core warrior, it would not be a big problem. Zhou Tong and Sikong Ling's strength was really too low. If they left at this time, it would be no different from sending them to their death. Looking at the backs of Ningyu and the rest leaving, Zhou Tong and Sikong Ling looked at each other and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. At the same time, Ningyu and the rest had already left Sikong Ling's place. Ningyu, I'm going to Danwu College first. See you tomorrow. Not long after, Li Tongtian said goodbye to Ningyu and rushed towards Danwu College. After walking for a while, Feng Zi also said, I have something to do, it might take 2 or 3 days. Feng Zi, with our relationship, if you have anything to say, just tell me. Feeling the worry between Feng Zi's brows, Ningyu said calmly, As long as I can help, I will do everything I can to help you. It's nothing big, I can handle it myself. Feng Zi's eyes flickered and he said, Go do what you need to do. "Oh right, you must do your best in the alchemy competition tomorrow. I believe you can win the final championship." As soon as he finished speaking, Feng Zi turned into an alley without looking back and quickly disappeared. Seeing Feng Zi disappear from his sight, Ningyu frowned, vaguely feeling that something was wrong. "Evil Eye, think of a way to follow Feng Zi. No matter what, you must ensure his safety." After secretly giving some instructions, Ningyu was slightly relieved. Evil Eye was a martial artist at the peak of the intermediate yin-yang realm. With him by Feng Zi's side, at least Feng Zi's safety would be greatly guaranteed. "Let's go." After giving instructions, Ningyu said to Lu Wei. "Where to?" Lu Wei asked. "Furnace Pavilion," Ningyu replied. What Ningyu did not know was that as soon as he and Lu Wei left, two martial artists appeared not far away. One was tall and the other was short. The taller one was half a step into the yin-yang realm, while the shorter one was in the early yin-yang realm. "What should we do? Should we go back and tell young Master Situ, or continue to follow them?" The taller martial artist frowned. Young Master Situ has instructed that Ningyu's whereabouts must be reported to him as soon as possible. The shorter martial artist thought about it and said, "How about this? Go back and tell young Master Situ that Ningyu first stayed at Sikong Ling's place for a period of time before going to the Furnace Pavilion." "Understood." The taller martial artist responded and was about to leave. "Wait." However, the taller martial artist had only taken a few steps when the shorter martial artist waved his hand and said, "I will follow Ningyu. You go get rid of that Feng Zi first. After all, he is only in the early Yuan Dan stage. As for that Li Tongtian, he is in the peak Yuan Dan stage. It will be difficult to kill him in a short period of time. Let him live for now." "Good idea." The taller martial artist's eyes lit up and he disappeared in a leap, obviously in pursuit of Feng Zi. After the tall martial artist left, the short martial artist's lips curled up into an arc as he spoke. "Ningyu, blame yourself for offending young Master Situ. From today onwards, everyone around you will die slowly in endless pain and torture." Chapter 587. A Young Man Cauldron Pavilion. In the capital, the Cauldron Pavilion specialized in the business of alchemy furnaces. However, the lowest price of an alchemy furnace in the Cauldron Pavilion was 100 high-grade yuan crystals. It was even rumored that as long as one had enough yuan crystals, one could buy an alchemy furnace in the Cauldron Pavilion. "Sir, what kind of alchemy furnace would you like to buy?" Ningyu entered the Cauldron Pavilion for the second time. Just like the first time, a waiter greeted him and said with a smile, "Our alchemy furnaces are divided into 3 categories: alchemy furnaces below 1,000 high-grade yuan crystals, alchemy furnaces between 1,000 and 100,000 high-grade yuan crystals, and alchemy furnaces between 100,000 and 5 million high-grade yuan crystals. I don't need any of these 3 types of alchemy furnaces." Ningyu shook his head and said, "You don't need any of them?" The waiter was slightly startled, and then suddenly realized, "If you need an alchemy furnace, you can go to the 4th floor, but—" The waiter did not finish his words, but the meaning was self-evident. The lowest price of an alchemy furnace on the 4th floor was 5 million high-grade yuan crystals. Without 5 million high-grade yuan crystals, one would not even be qualified to enter. "I know the conditions to enter the 4th floor." Ningyu smiled and then went to the 4th floor with Lu Wei. Looking at Ningyu's back, the waiter murmured, "Why do I have a familiar feeling?" "Stop." As soon as Ningyu reached the entrance of the 4th floor, he was stopped by a peak real martial realm guard. "Shwa." Ningyu flicked his sleeves and threw a storage bag over in an instant. "Pa." The guard at the peak of true martial realm took the storage bag and checked it. In an instant, the complexion of the guard at the peak of the true martial realm drastically changed. He quickly returned the storage bag to Ningyu, and at the same time respectfully said, "Sirs, please come inside." Putting away the storage bag, Ning Yu and Lu Wei entered the fourth floor without looking back. Even after Ning Yu and Lu Wei had completely entered the fourth floor, there was still some shock on the face of the peak of the true martial realm guard. What's wrong? How many yuan crystals are in the storage pouch? Another peak true martial realm guard asked doubtfully. As the guards of the fourth floor of the Cauldron Pavilion, they had checked the storage bags of many people. How many crystals had they seen? It was to the extent that a youth who entered the fourth floor not long ago actually carried over 100,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals on him. At that time they were really shocked. From the eyes of his companion, it seemed that the number of crystals in this storage pouch was even more than that of the previous youth. Many, very many. The guard at the peak of true martial realm who was inspecting the storage bag took a deep breath. The shock on his face did not diminish in the slightest as he said, at least 3 times as much as the previous youth or even more. Hearing this, the other guard at the peak of the true martial realm gasped. More than the first youth? Didn't that mean that these 2 martial artists carried over 500,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals on them? There were very few people on the 4th floor of the Cauldron Pavilion. Including Ning Yu and Lu Wei, there were only 4 people. Moreover, Ning Yu knew one of the old men. It was the master of the Cauldron Pavilion, Qian Jun. As for the other young martial artist, Ning Yu had no impression of him. However, on this young martial artist, Ning Yu vaguely felt a trace of familiar aura. Ning Yu, the alchemy furnace you bought last time was not good enough? No problem, recently the Cauldron Pavilion had another batch of superior alchemy furnaces. Qian Jun saw Ning Yu come up and said with a smile, as long as there are enough yuan crystals, I guarantee you can buy the alchemy furnace that you want. Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and said calmly, alchemy furnaces at the top of the earth list, do you have any? You also want alchemy furnaces at the top of the earth list? Hearing this, Qian Jun was stunned at first and then said, what a coincidence, someone recently left 2 alchemy furnaces at the Cauldron Pavilion. I guarantee that you will be satisfied. Please wait here for a moment, I will bring the 2 alchemy furnaces over. As he spoke, Qian Jun left the 4th floor. After Qian Jun left, Ning Yu faintly felt that someone was sizing him up. Middle stage primal core cultivation, peak 5th grade soul force. Another young man stared at Ning Yu with interest and said, I didn't think that the capital of the Great Xia Kingdom would actually have such an incredible martial artist. If I didn't guess wrongly, you are a core disciple of the Dan Wu Academy's sacred institution. You are the disciple with the highest hopes of advancing to a pseudo-holy son. You are not bad yourself, peak primal core cultivation, peak 5th grade soul force. As the young man was sizing up Ning Yu was also sizing him up. No, it should be early stage 6th grade soul force. Hearing Ning Yu's words, the young man's heart skipped a beat and could not help but look up to Ning Yu. His soul force was indeed early stage 6th grade, but his concealment method was extremely unique. It was said that he could hide from a martial artist with a soul force of at least 8th grade. Ning Yu's soul force was only at the peak of 5th grade, but to be able to discover his true soul force, he really had some skill. Are you interested in exchanging a few moves with me? The young man rolled his eyes and asked. Not interested, Ning Yu directly rejected. Haha, just a few sparring. The young man smiled faintly. He immediately rose from the ground and charged straight at Ning Yu. Seeing this, Ning Yu's eyes turned cold. The energy in his sea of consciousness gathered on his wrist, and with a backhand punch, it collided with the young man's fist. Pung! When the 2 fists collided, Ning Yu and the young man both took a few steps back before they could stabilize themselves. Looking closely, Ning Yu and the young man each took 5 or 6 steps back. In this move, both sides were equally matched. Take another move from me. The young man's eyes revealed a hint of seriousness as he threw another punch. Ever since he came to the capital, The young man had never met a martial artist of the same generation as Ningyu. In the past, almost none of the martial artists of the same generation that he had met could withstand one move from him. Ningyu was actually able to withstand one move from him without falling into a disadvantageous position. He could not help but take this seriously. Woof woof! However, just when Ningyu was about to attack, Furball suddenly broke free from Lu Wei's embrace and roared as it charged towards the young man. White dog! Looking at the white dog that was charging towards him, the young man's mouth was slightly agape, his face full of confusion. Since when did a lowly puppy become so daring? After a short moment of confusion, the young man said to Ningyu, "If you don't make it scram, I won't be polite. Be careful." Seeing that the young man did not take Furball seriously, Ningyu hurriedly reminded him. What? Not good. Hearing Ningyu's words, the young man revealed a look of confusion. However, just as he was feeling puzzled, Furball had already arrived in front of him, causing his expression to change drastically. Rip! The next moment, Furball used its furry little claws to tear off a piece of the young man's clothes. Damn it! Chapter 588. Not worth the price. Furball, come here. Sensing the powerful aura emanating from the young man, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat and he hurriedly berated, "Look at what you've done!" Woof woof. Furball shook the piece of cloth it had torn off with its claws and roared at the young man in a provocative manner before flying to Ningyu's shoulder. Seeing this, Ningyu somewhat awkwardly said, "My apologies, Furball is a little mischievous. If he has offended you in any way, please forgive him." The young man was on the verge of exploding with rage, but when he heard Ningyu's words, he could only suppress the anger in his heart. After all, Ningyu had already said it like this. If he were to stoop to the level of a dog, he wouldn't be able to afford it. "I'm fine." The young man took a deep breath and said, "You've already reminded me. I was careless. Besides, this matter started because of me, so I'm also at fault. If I hadn't insisted on sparring with you, Furball wouldn't have attacked me. By the way, how should I address you?" Ningyu seemed to have thought of something and asked. "Ghost. You can call me Guei." The young man hesitated. Guei? Ningyu frowned and muttered, "What a strange name." Creak. Right at this moment, Qian-jun walked in with two attendants. Each of the manservants held a silver-white box in their hands. From the two servants' strenuous expressions, it could be seen that the silver-white box was quite heavy. "Put the box down and guard the door. No one can come in without my permission." Qian-jun pointed at the counter. Dong! Dong! The two servants carefully placed the box on the counter, then obediently retreated to the door to guard it. "Ningyu Guei, I guarantee you'll be satisfied with the pill furnaces in these two boxes." After the manservant left, Qian-jun came to the side of the counter and pointed at the two silver-white boxes, saying, "I can divulge a little, they are not ordinary pill furnaces." "It's not an ordinary cauldron?" Guei raised an eyebrow. Could it really be a cauldron ranked in the top 10 of the Earth list? Qian-jun smiled mysteriously and shook his head. "They shouldn't be pill furnaces on the heaven list either." Ningyu split out a bit of his perception and examined the box for a while, then said, "If my guess is not wrong, they have just been refined not long ago, and the pill furnace Heaven Board and Earth Board have not had the time to record them." "Pa." Qian-jun clapped his hands and said with a smile, as expected of a core disciple of Danwu College's Sacred Institute, "You have sharp eyes." "Open it and take a look," Ningyu said calmly. "Please wait a moment." Qian-jun responded, then took out two golden medicine spoons from his bosom and inserted them into the holes of the silver-white box. Ka. The next moment, two silver boxes were opened. After the cauldrons were opened, what Qian-jun had expected did not happen. Ningyu and Guei did not show any signs of shock. This was out of Qian-jun's expectation. One should know that after the Cauldron Pavilion's appraisal, These 2 cauldrons were of excellent quality. When the next 3 lists of cauldrons are released, although it will be difficult for them to make it into the heaven list, it will be easy for them to make it into the top 5 of the earth list. Such valuable cauldrons, and yet Ning Yu and Gui Yi did not show any signs of surprise? This did not make sense at all. Could it be that the cauldrons Ning Yu and Gui Yi are using are on the heaven list? Looks like Gui Yi is not simple either. When Qian Jun opened the silver box, Ning Yu was also surprised. However, what surprised Ning Yu was not the cauldron inside the box, but Gui Yi's reaction. This was because he had used the heaven fire cauldron in his previous life. No matter how high the quality of the cauldron inside the box was, he would not be surprised. Gui Yi's expression did not change at all. The cauldron he was using now was probably on par with the cauldron inside the box. In other words, it was far better than the 2 cauldrons inside the box. This, Ning Yu and Gui Yi's reaction made Qian Jun feel awkward. He did not know how to continue. He had already thought of what to say to praise the 2 cauldrons and try to sell them for a good price. But now that Ning Yu and Gui Yi reacted like this, how could he praise them? In other words, even if he praised them, Ning Yu and Gui Yi would not buy it. At that moment, the atmosphere became awkward. Pavilion Master Qian, the cauldron is a good cauldron, but I do not know its price. After a while, Ning Yu was the first to break the silence. Recently, I lack a suitable cauldron. If the price is right, I plan to buy one. If the price is right, it will definitely be right. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Qian Jun hurriedly said, "The mysterious man said that each cauldron only costs 10 million supreme yuan crystals. It is definitely worth it." What? 10 million supreme yuan crystals? Pavilion Master Qian, are you sure you are right? Ning Yu's mouth was slightly agape. 10 million supreme yuan crystals is equivalent to 1 billion supreme yuan crystals and 100 billion high-grade yuan crystals. Even the top 3 cauldrons on the Earth list are not worth this price, right? That's right. In my opinion, these 2 cauldrons are at most 1 million supreme yuan crystals. Gui Yi nodded. 1 million supreme yuan crystals is equivalent to 10 billion high-grade yuan crystals. It is enough to buy one of the cauldrons. 1 million supreme yuan crystals is too little. The mysterious man said that the lowest price is 8 million supreme yuan crystals. Qian Jun gritted his teeth. 8 million supreme yuan crystals is not much for the cauldron pavilion. It is not worth this price. Ning Yu shook his head and said, "Pavilion Master Qian, if there is no other way, then I will leave. I will come again when I have a suitable cauldron." As he spoke, Ning Yu winked at Lu Wei and walked towards the exit without looking back. "Pavilion Master Qian, goodbye." Gui Yi also said goodbye to Qian Jun and followed closely behind Ning Yu. Hey, don't go. 8 million supreme yuan crystals is the lowest price, the mysterious man said. There is nothing I can do. Seeing that Ning Yu and Gui Yi were about to leave, Qian Jun hurriedly said, "If the 2 of you really want these 2 cauldrons, the mysterious man has another method of exchange. Let's hear it." Ning Yu and Gui Yi stopped at the same time and said in unison. Seeing that Ning Yu and Gui Yi had stopped, Qian Jun wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. That was close. I almost lost 2 rich people. Sorting out his thoughts, Qian Jun said, "The mysterious man found a recipe by chance during one of his expeditions. However, the recipe was incomplete. The mysterious man has tried his best to gather the missing medicinal ingredients. According to his judgment, there are still 2 medicinal ingredients missing from the prescription. If the 2 of you can help him calculate the 2 medicinal ingredients, I can give you the elixir furnace." Chapter 589. Sheepskin Scroll Elixir Recipe. As for the 5th and 6th grade elixir recipes, Ning Yu didn't even think about it. After all, a 5th grade or 6th grade elixir recipe wasn't worth such a huge price from the mysterious man. If these 2 elixir furnaces were to be auctioned off, They could be sold for at least 2 million transcendent-grade essence crystals. To use such a valuable elixir furnace as a reward, it seemed like the elixir recipe was either 7th grade or 8th grade. 8th grade elixir recipe. Qian Jun explained. As for the elixir recipe, the mysterious man personally told us that he would only reveal it when we meet him. Ningyu muttered for a moment and said, "We can give it a try." Gui also said, "Let's go meet that mysterious man." "Alright, the two of you, please follow me." Qian Jun didn't think that Ningyu and Gui would be able to divine the two missing herbs, but it didn't stop him from bringing Ningyu and Gui to meet that mysterious man. If they were able to divine it, he would be able to take 10% of the market price of the elixir furnaces. 10% of the market price of 2 elixir furnaces would be equivalent to 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals. 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals would be equivalent to a quarter of the Cauldron Pavilion's sales. Qian Jun would definitely be very willing. Dong dong. Soon enough, Qian Jun brought Ningyu and Gui to a luxurious room. Qian Jun knocked on the door and said, "Senior, these two would like to try the elixir recipe." Two little primal core kids. A vigorous voice echoed from the room with a slightly displeased tone. A peak stage 5th grade soul force and an initial stage 6th grade soul force. Qian Jun, do you think they can divine the missing herbs for the 8th grade elixir recipe? Senior, please calm down. Their identities are very special. They are the absolute prodigies of the Great Xia Kingdom. Perhaps. Qian Jun quickly explained. There is no need. What absolute prodigies are there in the Great Xia Kingdom? They are just mediocre talent. Another vigorous voice echoed from the room with disdain. It seems like staying in the Great Xia Kingdom was a wrong choice. Forget it. I will head straight to the Elixir Formation Continent. That is where the true elixir refinement prodigies gather. Kiki, the Great Xia Kingdom indeed, doesn't have any alchemy prodigies. Ningyu didn't like the tone of the martial artist in the room. He laughed and said, "The Great Xia Kingdom only has a few middle-stage 8th grade alchemists. Let's go. There's no point in staying here. Let's go back and train hard so that we can reach the threshold of the Blessed Realm as soon as possible." With that, Ningyu took Lu Wei's hand and left. Wait. However, Ningyu had only taken a few steps when the voice in the room rang out again. "You seem to be unconvinced." "It's not that I'm not convinced. I'm just telling the truth." The corners of Ningyu's lips curled up imperceptibly. "In your eyes, I'm just a mediocre person. I haven't even seen an 8th realm Dan recipe before. How can I not be convinced?" "Alright. I'll give you a chance." A cold voice came from the room. "If you can calculate one missing ingredient, I'll give you both cauldrons. If you can calculate 2 missing ingredients, I'll give you a great fortune." "I can try." Ningyu didn't bat an eyelid. "As for whether or not I can calculate the missing ingredients, I'll have to take a look at the Dan recipe to know." "Ha ha ha, I sure want to see if you have the capability." A loud laugh came from the room. "The three of you come in. Don't go out and say that I'm looking down on you." Creak. Then, the door slowly opened from the inside. Ningyu glanced at Gui and took the lead to walk in. Gui and Lu Wei followed closely behind Ningyu. As for Qian Jun, he didn't enter the room. Instead, he returned to the 4th floor of the Cauldron Pavilion because the 2 cauldrons were still there. With such valuable cauldrons, he naturally had to be extremely careful. It's just as I expected. A peak early-stage Dan Master, just one step away from advancing to mid-stage Dan Master. The moment he saw the elder, Ningyu's expression turned solemn as he thought to himself, "His cultivation has reached the peak of the yin-yang stage, and he's even half a step into the manifestation stage. This elder is not simple." Gui Yi's eyes narrowed as she quickly concealed her aura, afraid that the elder would probe her. Fortunately, the elder did not care about Ningyu and Gui Yi. Instead, he was very interested in Furball, who was on Ningyu's shoulder. Come here. The elder waved at Furball, and Furball flew uncontrollably into the elder's hand. Woof woof. Furball was not an easy target after all. It struggled and barked in the elder's hand. Ning Yu. The sudden change caused a worried look to emerge on Lu Wei's face. Don't worry, nothing will happen to Furball. Ning Yu smiled at Lu Wei, indicating that she could rest assured. Ning Yu did not sense any ill intent from the elder. In other words, the elder was purely interested in Furball. How strange. I've roamed the continent for so many years, and I've never seen a puppy of this breed. A puzzled look appeared on the elder's face. After a while, the elder threw Furball to Ning Yu and muttered, "It looks like a 5th-grade spirit fox dog, 6th-grade leather tiger dog, and even more like a 1st-grade Songhua dog." Woof woof. Furball clearly knew how powerful the old man was. Only when it landed on Ning Yu's shoulder did it grit its teeth and shout at the old man. "Furball, you'd better behave yourself." Ning Yu knocked Furball's head and coldly said, "If you don't behave, don't even think about getting anything to eat from me in the future." Whoosh. Ning Yu's words were quite lethal, and Furball indeed quietened down. However, after Furball calmed down, its small claws tore off a piece of Ning Yu's clothes and jumped into Lu Wei's arms, revealing its furry little head. Furthermore, it made a funny face at Ning Yu, leaving Ning Yu speechless. "All right, the pill recipe is here. Both of you, come and take a look." At that moment, the elder took out a sheepskin scroll and placed it on the table. "Give me an answer in half an hour after reading it." As the elder finished speaking, Gui Yi and Ning Yu looked at each other. Gui Yi then went to the side of the table to look at the pill recipe. After 2 or 3 minutes, Gui Yi retreated to the other side and began to carefully calculate. Ning Yu calmly walked to the table and glanced at the pill recipe. As soon as Ning Yu's eyes landed on the pill recipe, his eyebrows furrowed. After a while, Ning Yu asked, "This pill recipe is not the original one. If I'm not wrong, it should be a rubbing product." Hearing this, the elder raised an eyebrow and asked without batting an eyelid, "How do you know it's a rubbing product?" "It's simple," Ning Yu explained. "Since it's a broken 8th-grade pill recipe, it must have been stored for a long time. This sheepskin scroll of yours was only made a few years ago. Also, and this is the most important point." Ning Yu paused for a moment before continuing. Chapter 590. Not a Tier 8 pill, not a Tier 8 pill formula? The elder was taken aback. "Tell me what you think." Boom. Even though the elder appeared calm, great waves had long been stirred up in his heart, directly about to explode. The pill formula he took out was indeed not a Tier 8 pill formula. To put it more accurately, it was not even a pill formula. It was just a messy formula. Ning Yu was so sure that the formula on the sheepskin scroll was not a Tier 8 pill formula. Was he just making a wild guess, or was he really that skilled? The elder wanted to see for himself. "It's not a Tier 8 pill formula?" Compared to the elder's shock, Gui Yi's heart skipped a beat. If the formula on the sheepskin scroll was not a Tier 8 pill formula, then it would be awkward for him to calculate it for half a day. Ning Yu sorted out his thoughts before he pointed at the 2 herbs on the sheepskin scroll and explained, "Frost mirage flower and profound essence grass. These 2 herbs complement each other, and it's rare for them to be used at the same time. Because if they are used at the same time, they will produce a lethal poison. No pill refined from them can be consumed." "No." Hearing Ning Yu's words, Gui Yi said in a low voice, "The elixir pill uses both the cold illusion flower and xianyuan grass at the same time. However, the elixir pill does not contain any lethal poison. Instead, it is an excellent antidote." Glancing at Gui Yi, Ning Yu said calmly, "Like I said, these 2 ingredients are rarely used at the same time, but it does not mean that they cannot be used at the same time." Gui Yi's face darkened. For the first time, he felt that his intelligence was not enough. If the cold illusion flower and xianyuan grass are to be used at the same time, another ingredient must be added, the ice bone grass. Ning Yu continued, although the elixir pill is only a tier 5 pill formula, it is extremely difficult to refine. Even a tier 6 pill master would not dare to attempt it. They are afraid that if the ice bone grass is not used properly, the elixir pill will end up with a lethal poison. However, this sheepskin scroll only has the cold illusion flower and the profound origin grass. There's no ice bone grass. Therefore, I deduced that it's not an 8th grade elixir formula. In fact, it can't even be considered an elixir formula. It's not even a pill formula. Gui couldn't believe her ears. Her eyes widened in shock. Gui was speechless. He could still accept the fact that the recipe on the sheepskin scroll was not an 8th grade pill recipe. After all, he was only an early-stage 6th grade alchemist. It was understandable that he could not determine an 8th grade pill recipe. However, if the recipe on the sheepskin scroll could not even be considered as a pill recipe, he would really lose all his faith. Gui looked at the old man nervously, hoping that the old man would deny Ningyu. The result disappointed Gui. The old man slowly stood up and put away the sheepskin pill formula on the table. At the same time, he smiled and said, I was careless. I did not expect the frost illusion flower and the mystic yuan grass to have such a relationship. As he spoke, the old man took out another sheepskin scroll from his bosom. The sheepskin scroll was slightly yellowed, and there were even some missing corners. This is the original pill formula. The old man placed the yellow sheepskin scroll on the table and said, there are a total of 12 medicinal ingredients missing. After a period of calculation, I have confirmed 10 of them. I'll leave it for now. Come over and take a look. As long as you can name the 10 missing medicinal ingredients, I will give you the 2 pill furnaces unconditionally. Ningyu did not speak. Instead, he walked to the table and carefully examined the sheepskin scroll. Soul enhancement pill. The moment he saw the sheepskin scroll, Ningyu's body trembled slightly. The soul enhancement pill was a pinnacle 8th grade pill. It could increase the strength of a martial artist's soul force. It was a pill that ordinary 8th grade alchemists could only dream of. In other words, if a pinnacle 8th grade alchemist could obtain a soul enhancement pill, there was a 10% chance that they could increase the strength of their soul force to early stage 9th grade. In his previous life, Ningyu relied on the soul enhancement pill to increase his soul force from pinnacle 8th grade to early stage 9th grade. Therefore, Ningyu was extremely sensitive to the soul enhancement pill. No, this sheepskin scroll is not that simple. Suddenly, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat and his heart was in turmoil. This was because he found something unusual on the sheepskin scroll. I see. After looking at it carefully for a while, Ningyu took a deep breath and thought to himself, there's something more to this sheepskin scroll. There's also a pill formula inside. I just don't know what the pill formula is. Do you see anything? At this moment, the old man's voice rang out in the room. Try to name the 10 missing medicinal ingredients. Mysterious ice flower, longevity fruit, companion bamboo. Ningyu thought for a moment and said, dragon tail lotus, scarlet leaf, swoosh. When Ningyu mentioned the first herb, the shock in the old man's eyes was revealed without any concealment. Moreover, as Ningyu continued to name the medicinal ingredients, the shock in the old man's eyes became more and more intense. The 10th medicinal ingredient is the black nightshade flower, Ningyu said confidently. When Ningyu finished his last sentence, the shock in the old man's eyes had reached its peak. How did you know about the missing 10 medicinal ingredients in this pill formula? Do you know what pill formula it is? The old man unleashed his aura and pressed down on Ningyu as he said coldly, tell me what the remaining 2 medicinal ingredients are. It was no wonder that the old man was so extreme. After all, the soul enhancement pill was an 8th grade pill that had been lost for decades. Without the help of the soul enhancement pill, it would be extremely difficult for an 8th grade pill alchemist to advance to a 9th grade pill. And Ningyu did not expect the old man to have such a huge reaction and was momentarily stunned. Wasn't the soul enhancement pill just an 8th grade pill? Did he have to be so shocked? 20 years ago, although the soul enhancement pill was very precious, many people could get their hands on it. Could it be that the soul enhancement pill was in such short supply now? The remaining 2 medicinal ingredients are the 9 Suns spirit bamboo and the green mushroom vine trunk. Although he was a little confused, Ningyu said it anyway. Ha ha ha! As soon as Ningyu finished speaking, the old man threw his head back and laughed out loud. Damn it, it's not that bad. Hearing the old man's maniacal laughter, Ningyu's lips twitched. He was speechless. Good. Very good. After laughing for a full 3 minutes, the old man stopped. After he stopped, the old man said in a clear voice, Qianjun, bring me my 2 cauldrons. I want to give them to this. Then, the old man paused and said, Oh yes, how should I address you, my young friend? Ningyu. Ningyu moved away from the old man, afraid that the old man would suddenly attack him. Yes, Qianjun, bring me my 2 cauldrons. I want to give them to my young friend, Ningyu. The old man continued. Creak. Qianjun had been guarding outside the room. When he heard the old man's words, he quickly carried 2 silver boxes and walked in. Dong. Dong. Chapter 591. I'll leave your corpse intact, Ningyu. These 2 cauldrons belong to you now. You can sell them or smash them, I won't ask. The elder pointed at the 2 silver boxes on the table. Also, when you came in, I said that as long as you can tell me the 2 medicinal ingredients that are missing in the pill formula, I will give you a great opportunity. A great opportunity! Inside the room, Qianjun heard the elder's words and stared at Ningyu in shock. Could it be that Ningyu had really deduced the 2 missing herbs in the pill formula? That was way too perverted. The elder was an 8th realm alchemist. If even he could not predict the exact ingredients, how did Ningyu do it? Actually, I've seen this Dan recipe before. Ningyu thought about it and felt that it was better to explain. After all, the elder was so shocked. If he were to go crazy and capture him like a freak, he wouldn't even have tears to cry. You've seen it before? Hearing Ningyu's words, the elder's jaw dropped and his eyeballs almost fell out of their socket. Ningyu had seen such a valuable Dan recipe that had been lost in the mainland for decades? It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. No. Suddenly, the elder seemed to have remembered something and asked, Ningyu, do you have a master? From the fact that Ningyu was able to accurately point out the missing herbs in the elixir formula, it could be seen that Ningyu had indeed seen the elixir formula for the soul-enhancing elixir before. Otherwise, he would not believe that Ningyu would be able to deduce the 12 missing herbs just based on calculation alone. Since Ningyu could easily name the missing ingredients, it was very likely that Ningyu had a powerful master. Ningyu nodded and said, I do have a master. I saw this Dan recipe by chance. I see. The shock on the old man's face lessened slightly. If Ningyu was really that abnormal, then he had really lived all these years like a dog. My master isn't in the Great Xia Kingdom recently. I don't know when he will be back either. Seeing that the elder was about to say something, Ningyu spoke before the elder could. What a pity. I wanted to meet your master. The elder smiled. Since I said I would give you a great fortune, I will not go back on my word. Whoosh. In the next moment, the old man took out a black token and tossed it to Ningyu. But Ningyu stretched out his hand and caught the token steadily. Su? Looking at the word Su on the token, Ningyu was speechless. Was this the great fortune that the old man had given him? This was too King nonsensical. Originally, Ningyu thought that the old man would at least give him some transcendent grade essence crystals. He didn't expect for it to be a useless token. Alright, the mission is completed. I am going to leave the great Xia kingdom. Seeing that Ning Yu accepted the token, the old man nodded and sent a spiritual message to Ning Yu. When you are free to go to the central continent, you can take this token and look for me at the Su clan. TSK. After finishing his statement, the old man tore the void and instantly vanished. He left just like that? After the old man left, Qian Jun was flabbergasted. The plot wasn't supposed to be like this. The deal between the old man and Ning Yu was completed. Logically, he should have gotten 10% of the market price of the 2 cauldrons, which was 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals. Now that the old man had left, who was he going to ask for 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals? Cough cough. Since the old man had left, Qian Jun shifted his attention to Ning Yu. He coughed dryly and said, Ning Yu, that old man promised that once the deal is completed, he will give the Cauldron Pavilion 10% of the profits. 10% of the market price of the 2 cauldrons, 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals. What do you think? You are asking me for 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals. Ning Yu pointed at his own nose and said, Do I look like an idiot? What a joke. How can you look like an idiot? Qian Jun laughed. You are right. I am not an idiot. How can I give you 200,000 transcendent-grade essence crystals? Ning Yu twitched his mouth and pulled Lu Wei's hand as they walked out. At the same time, he said, I am not the one who promised to give you 10%. If you want transcendent-grade essence crystals, go look for that old man. Don't look for me. Qian Jun was exasperated, but there was nothing he could do. Ning Yu was a core disciple of the Danwu College's Sacred Institute. He was merely a leader of the Cauldron Pavilion. To go against Danwu College? He did not have the guts. After working for half a day and getting nothing in the end, he could only grit his teeth and swallow his pride. Ning Yu, please wait. Outside the Cauldron Pavilion, Gui approached Ning Yu and said, I have a question. What is it? Ning Yu stopped and looked at Gui with interest. Actually, Ning Yu didn't even need to think to guess what Gui wanted to ask. Without a doubt, she wanted to know what the recipe was on the scroll. Sure enough, as Ning Yu had expected, Gui asked, What is the pill recipe on the sheepskin scroll? 8th Realm Elixir, the Raging Spirit Elixir. Ning Yu smiled and walked away without looking back. Angry Spirit Pill? Looking at Ning Yu and Lu Wei's backs, Gui was confused. The Angry Spirit Pill was indeed a level 8 elixir, and it also contained the herbs that Ning Yu had mentioned. However, the Angry Spirit Pill was only a level 8 elixir. With the old man's strength, there was no reason that he could not calculate the missing herbs. After pausing for a while in front of the Cauldron Pavilion, Gui and Ning Yu walked in the same direction. However, Gui only took a few steps before she turned into an alley. Damn it! What the hell is Gao Pai doing? After Ning Yu and Gui left, a short cultivator appeared not far from the Cauldron Pavilion. This short cultivator was the one who had followed Ning Yu in the Yin-Yang realm. At this moment, his face was filled with anger. Humph! He has been gone for so long and still hasn't returned. He must have gone somewhere to slack off. Forget it, Ning Yu must have returned to Si Kongling's place. I'd better finish off the Peak Yuan core cultivator first before going back to inform young Master Situ. After some thought, the short cultivator decided not to follow Ning Yu for the time being. Instead, he chose to kill Gui. After all, this was the only way he could interrogate Ning Yu about what he had done in the Cauldron Pavilion. Swoosh! The short cultivator left as soon as he said he would. He quickly chased after Gui. Not long after, the short cultivator saw Gui in the alley. However, Gui's current appearance was a little different from before. Her clothes had been changed to black, and even her appearance had changed a little. Who is it? The moment the short cultivator appeared, Gui's expression changed and she asked coldly. Hee hee, you are quite alert. I didn't think that I would be discovered the moment I appeared. Chapter 592. Ghost 1 inch. Are you sure you're talking to me? Hearing the short cultivator's words, Guei hesitated for a moment before asking, Can I ask you a question? The short warrior looked to his left and right before replying, There's no one else here. If I'm not talking to you, am I talking to a ghost? Cut the crap and tell me what Ning you did in the furnace pavilion. My patience is limited. The short warrior was getting impatient. After all, Guei was only at the pinnacle of the primal core stage, while he was at the early yin-yang stage. They were not even on the same level. If he wanted to kill Guei, he would only need 2 or 3 moves to finish her off. Ha! Guei's lips curled into a smile. I didn't think that an early yin-yang stage warrior would dare to speak to me like that. What? The short warrior could not believe his ears. From Guei's words, it seemed like she didn't care about him at all. You're a pinnacle of the primal core stage warrior, talking to an early yin-yang stage warrior like that. Aren't you afraid of getting beaten up? I have to say, you're already at the end of the road to death. The short warrior's face darkened. Even if you don't tell me, I have a way to find out. Just that you'll have to suffer a little more. As soon as the word suffer was uttered, the short warrior leapt into the air and appeared in front of Guei. Swoosh! In the next moment, the short martial artist's fist carried a violent yuan qi gust of wind as it slammed into Guei's chest. The short warrior did not use his full strength, but only half of it. He was afraid that if he used his full strength, he would kill Guei. Sigh, sometimes I really can't help it. Feeling the violent yuan qi fluctuations in the shorter cultivator's fist, Guei sighed lightly. She raised her right hand and collided with the shorter cultivator's fist. Crack! A crisp sound rang out in the alleyway. The short martial artist lowered his head and looked at his twisted fist. His mouth was slightly agape, and he was somewhat dumbfounded. What the hell, what the hell? Since when were pinnacle of the primal core stage so powerful? The plot was completely wrong. Everything was a mess. Tell me, who sent you? Guei cracked her neck and walked up to the short cultivator. Tell me, and I'll leave your corpse intact. F***CKU. The short warrior roared and stamped his feet on the ground. The yuan qi in his sea of consciousness surged out and gathered in his other fist. He punched at Guei again. Humph! There was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. There was no door to hell, but you barged in. The short martial artist's words completely infuriated Guei. Guei coldly snorted as a strand of qi appeared on her fist and shot towards the shorter cultivator's fist. Chi. This time, when the two fists collided, there was no clear sound of bones breaking. Instead, there was a chi sound. At the same time, accompanied by the sizzling sound, the short martial artist screamed like a pig being slaughtered. What kind of corrosive gas is this? Looking at his fist that was almost corroded to the point where white bones could be seen, the short warrior shouted crazily. Since you asked, I'll let you die knowing. Guei shrugged her shoulders and said 3 words. Dead spirit qi. What? Dead spirit qi. As soon as Guei's voice fell, the short martial artist revealed an extremely horrified expression. Dead spirit qi was the unique gas of the corpse yin sect. It was even more corrosive than the corpse yin qi. Could it be that this young martial artist was a genius of the corpse yin sect? I know what you're thinking. At this moment, Guei said, I can tell you very clearly that you're right. I'm from the corpse yin sect. To be precise, I'm a martial artist from the corpse yin sect's Ghost Kai Hall. They all call me Guei. Swish. As soon as these words fell, Guei's eyes turned cold. With a flick of his wrist, a strand of dead spirit qi flew towards the short martial artist. This is the capital, you can't. The short martial artist's pupils shrank and he hurriedly said, However, before he could finish speaking, he let out a blood-curdling scream. His eyes were wide open, and he died on the spot. Chi. After killing the short cultivator, Gui took out a small jade bottle from his bosom and poured the white powder inside it onto the short cultivator. In the blink of an eye, the short martial artist was completely corroded. The wax head of the silver spear looks good, but it's useless. Gui murmured, Ningyu is a strong opponent. Wait until tomorrow's alchemy competition, I'll have to have a good fight with him. As he spoke, Gui's body gradually merged with the void and quickly disappeared. If an outsider saw Gui's action, they would definitely be so shocked that their jaws would drop. A peak Yuan core martial artist could actually merge with the void. It must be known that, in everyone's understanding, only yin-yang martial artists could come into contact with the void. Gui was indeed worthy of being the peerless genius of the Ghost Kai Hall. Swish. Swish. Not long after Gui left, two martial artists appeared in the alley. What's going on? I just sensed Qiufeng's aura. Why did it disappear here? Among the two martial artists, one of them had a peak 5th grade soul power and frowned. Also, wasn't Gao Pai together with Qiufeng? How come I only sense Qiufeng's aura in this area, but not Gao Pai's? Situwen, are the two warriors you sent reliable or not? The other martial artist said, now that Ningyu is not in Danwu College, it's the best opportunity to kill him. If we miss this opportunity, we won't get another one. Ninth Prince, Gao Pai is a half-step yin-yang martial artist, and Qiufeng is an early-stage yin-yang martial artist. They are definitely reliable. Situ Wen's expression changed and he said, now that their auras have disappeared, they must have encountered danger. Encountered danger? The ninth prince raised his eyebrows and said, don't tell me that Ningyu killed Gao Pai and Qiufeng. That's a possibility, Situ Wen said seriously. Humph. Tomorrow is the alchemy competition. Today we must kill Ningyu no matter what. The ninth prince snorted coldly. Fortunately, I came prepared. Buzz. The next moment, a crack appeared in the space of this area, and a martial artist appeared from it. Where is Ningyu now? The ninth prince asked. Ninth prince, after Ningyu and Lu Wei left the furnace pavilion, they first wandered around the streets of the capital for a while, and then left the capital, the martial artist who just appeared replied. Left the capital? The ninth prince was slightly startled, and then he smiled evilly. Heaven is on my side. Go and gather people, I will go with Situ Wen to chase after Ningyu. Yes. The martial artist who just appeared responded, and then his figure became illusory. Situ Wen, Ningyu is outside the capital. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, we can't miss it. The ninth prince smiled evilly. Ninth prince, should I also send a few experts to follow? Chapter 593. Lone Skeleton Forest, no need. Both of us are at the peak of the primal core realm, while Ningyu is only at the middle stage of the primal core realm. The ninth prince waved his hand. Furthermore, I've sent several yin-yang realm martial artists this time. There's even one at the peak of the yin-yang realm. Even if Ningyu has 3 heads and 6 arms, he won't be able to escape. Let's go. Whoosh. After saying that, the ninth prince stomped on the ground and flew out of the capital. No, Ningyu is extremely cunning. I'd better leave something behind. Situ Wen did not leave immediately. Instead, he took out a crystal ball and whispered a few words. Then, his figure flashed and he followed behind the ninth prince. At the same time, in a dense forest outside the capital, 2 young martial artists, one male and one female, were walking side by side. The young woman was carrying a white puppy in her arms. Ningyu and Lu Wei. These 2 young martial artists were Ningyu and Lu Wei. After they left the capital, they sped up and only slowed down when they entered the depths of the forest. Ningyu, what are we doing here? Holding Furball in his arms, Lu Xuan felt the gloomy atmosphere in the depths of the forest. He couldn't help but shiver. The forest outside the capital was called the Lone Skeleton Forest. Legend had it that there were peak 6th-rank beasts there. A 6th-rank beast was equivalent to a Yin-Yang realm martial artist and was extremely powerful. Furthermore, the place that Ning Yu and the others had arrived at was already in the depths of the Lone Skeleton Forest. Normal Yin-Yang realm martial artists wouldn't dare to go there alone. This is a good place. There won't be too many disturbances. Ning Yu smiled. With a flick of his wrist, the storage ring flew into the air. Whoosh! In the next instant, a cold light flew out from the storage ring. Dark Emperor! Lu Xuan had seen the Dark Emperor before. Therefore, the moment the Dark Emperor dashed out from the storage ring, she recognized him. However, after the Dark Emperor dashed out of the storage ring, he fled into the distance without looking back at an extremely fast speed. Woof woof! Lu Wei was not the only one who noticed the Dark Emperor. Furball, who was in her arms, had his eyes wide open as he roared at the Dark Emperor. What are you shouting for? I'll get the Dark Emperor to teach you a lesson later. Ning Yu glared at Furball in annoyance before finding a place to lie down. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Furball instantly became well-behaved, burrowing into Lu Wei's bosom, only revealing his little head. Though the Dark Emperor's aura was restrained, Furball, who was also a heaven-devouring dog, knew very well that the Dark Emperor was on the verge of advancing. Once the Dark Emperor successfully advanced this time, his strength would experience a qualitative leap. At that time, he might not even be qualified to carry the shoes of the Dark Emperor. Thus, Furball chose to stay put. Ning Yu, it's so dangerous here. Will there be any problems if the Dark Emperor chooses this place to advance? Lu Wei sat down next to Ning Yu with a worried look on her face. I heard that there are pinnacle 6th-rank demonic beasts here. Pinnacle 6th-rank demonic beasts are even stronger than martial artists at the pinnacle of the Yin-Yang realm. Ning Yu shrugged his shoulders and said helplessly, Do you think I want to? This place was strongly requested by the Dark Emperor. He said that he caused a huge commotion when he advanced and was afraid that someone in the capital would discover him. Huge commotion? Lu Wei was slightly taken aback, then asked doubtfully, What cultivation level is the Dark Emperor at now? Pinnacle of the Primal Core Realm. Ning Yu smiled. Hearing this, Lu Wei could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. One must know that even after the Xianming Elder's empowerment, she was only at the Xiantian Full Circle Realm. The Dark Emperor was actually at the pinnacle of the Primal Core Realm? Didn't that mean that after the Dark Emperor advanced, his cultivation level would at least be at the Yin-Yang realm? Don't worry. Although this place is dangerous, it is definitely safe. Seeing Lu Wei's worried expression, Ning Yu comforted her. This is deep in the Lone Skeleton Forest. There shouldn't be any ignorant martial artist who would come here. Haha, looks like we are the ignorant martial artists you were talking about. However, just as Ning Yu finished speaking, his expression changed. Crack! From afar, the sound of a tree branch snapping could be heard. Then, two young martial artists slowly appeared in his field of vision. Not long after, the two young martial artists stood beside Ning Yu and smiled wickedly. The Lone Skeleton Forest is a good place to bury one's bones. I didn't expect you to have such foresight. Not bad at all. This trip was not in vain. Not only can we kill Ning Yu, but we can also enjoy a beauty. Situ 1, 9th Prince. Ning Yu stood up from the ground with a swish, and his face instantly darkened. Ning Yu was very familiar with the two martial artists before him. One was Situ 1 from the Alchemy Union and the other was the 9th Prince from the royal family. Oh, I didn't expect you to remember me. The 9th Prince raised an eyebrow and said, Ning Yu, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Haha, just you two pieces of trash? Ning Yu smiled and said, Two peak primal core martial artists. Killing you would be easier than killing an ant. Arrogant! Ignorant! Swoosh! Swoosh! 2 cold snorts rang out at the same time. Immediately after, the 9th prince and Situ-Wen moved in unison and charged towards Ning-Yu at an astonishing speed. Good timing. Facing Situ-Wen and the others who were attacking him, Ning-Yu let out a low roar. Then, a violent yuan-qi fluctuation appeared on his fist. One on the left and one on the right. He collided with Situ-Wen and the 9th prince's fist. Crack! Crack! In the next moment 2 crisp sounds rang out in the area. Following the crisp sounds were the screams of 2 pigs being slaughtered. Situ-Wen and the 9th prince's bodies were like kites with broken strings, falling straight to the back. At the same time, both of their right hands were pulled by Ta. Obviously, they were broken. 2 pieces of trash and you want to kill me? Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? However, Ning-Yu didn't stop there. Instead, he charged forward once more. Ning-Yu, how dare you kill me? I am the 9th prince. If you kill me, you will become an enemy of the royal family. Looking at the approaching Ning-Yu, the 9th prince shouted, If you know what's good for you, stop now. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. I am already in trouble. I don't need you to be in trouble. How could Ning-Yu stop? The other party had already said that they wanted to kill him. If he still hesitated, wouldn't he be a coward? Obviously, Ning-Yu was not a coward. Just as he was about to reach the 9th prince, Ning-Yu flicked his wrist and the soul-severing sword appeared in his hand. Solitaire. With a cold look in his eyes, Ning-Yu waved the soul-severing sword and 2 waves of sword energy appeared in the air. Buzz. The 2 waves of sword energy were extremely fast. One was aimed at the 9th prince and the other at Situ-Wen. After reaching the middle stage of the primal core stage, Ning-Yu's solitaire with the soul-severing sword was extremely powerful. Peak primal core warriors like Situ-Wen and the 9th prince could not withstand it. Uncle Deng, save me! Chapter 594. Deng He, young man, how dare you kill the 9th prince? You must be tired of living. The 9th prince's words were clearly effective. As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man appeared beside him. Whoosh! After the middle-aged man appeared, he did not hesitate at all. He threw a punch in the air, and it collided with the sword wave that Ning-Yu slashed out. As soon as the fist and the sword wave came into contact, a sizzling sound could be heard. Then, the sword wave dissipated into the air. Boom! The 9th prince's sword wave was blocked by the middle-aged man, but Situ-Wen was not so lucky. Even though he had used all the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness, he still could not block the sword wave from Ning-Yu. Tui! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Situ-Wen's face turned deathly pale, without any trace of blood. Ning-Yu's heart sank to the bottom when he saw his sword wave was easily blocked by the middle-aged man before him. He could feel a terrifying aura from the middle-aged man. This aura was comparable to Elder He's peak yin-yang stage. The middle-aged man in front of him had reached the peak yin-yang stage. Uncle Deng, kill Ning-Yu quickly. Turning his head to look at Situ-Wen's miserable state, the 9th prince could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Fortunately, Deng He appeared in time. Otherwise, his situation would be similar to Situ-Wen's. After all, the sword wave from Ning-Yu was very powerful. With his peak primal core cultivation, it would be difficult for him to block it. Ning-Yu dared to kill me. He has no respect for the royal family and you, the 9th prince said viciously. Someone like him, once he grows up, will be a fatal threat to the royal family. Don't worry, 9th prince. With me around, Ning-Yu will not be able to run away. Deng He waved his hand and said, You, on the other hand, better restrain yourself. Rumor has it that the 13th prince is going back to the capital. What? 13th brother is coming back? Hearing this, the 9th prince's heart skipped a beat. Out of all the princes in the Great Xia Kingdom, there was only one that he viewed as a formidable opponent, and that was the 13th prince. Back then, the 13th prince had said that he wouldn't return until he reached the Yin-Yang realm. From this, it could be seen that the 13th prince's cultivation was at least at the early stage of Yin-Yang. Deng He nodded and said, "That's right. When the 13th prince returns, the first person he will deal with will be you. When I return to the capital, I will immediately go into seclusion. I won't come out until I break through to the Yin-Yang realm," the 9th prince said coldly. "In any case, just be careful. With me around, it won't be easy for the 13th prince to deal with you," Deng He said indifferently. "By the way, Uncle Deng, why did you come alone?" The 9th prince suddenly seemed to think of something and asked curiously. In order to kill Ningyu this time, he had sent several Yin-Yang realm martial artists. Why was Deng He the only one who came here? "It wasn't easy for me to come here," Deng He explained. "Not long after you left the capital, the Emperor summoned all the Yin-Yang realm warriors to the Coiling Dragon Ridge to annihilate the Corpse sect. After I take care of Ningyu, I will return to the Coiling Dragon Ridge as soon as possible." Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura in Deng He's body climbed to the extreme and suppressed Ningyu. "You want to suppress me with your aura? It won't be that easy." While Deng He and the 9th prince were talking, Ningyu secretly gathered the 7 golden cores in his sea of knowledge, ready to make a move at any time. Swish, 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 swish. Therefore, as soon as Deng He released his aura, Ningyu summoned the 7 golden cores in his sea of knowledge. The 7 golden cores floated above Ningyu's head, and each of them shot out a pillar of energy that enveloped Ningyu and Lu Wei. "What? There are 7 golden cores?" Seeing the golden cores above Ningyu's head, Situ-1, who had just stood up from the ground, fell to the ground in surprise. Ordinary warriors only had 1 golden core, but Ningyu had 5. He was really a freak among freaks. 7 golden cores, Uncle Deng, don't kill him. You must force him to tell you the cultivation method. Compared to Situ-Wen's shock, the 9th prince was more far-sighted. His first thought was that once he forced out the cultivation method of 7 golden cores, he might also be able to cultivate 7 golden cores. By then, wouldn't his strength increase by 7 times? This time I came under a lot of pressure, it was really a worthwhile trip. Deng He's eyes revealed a fiery look. He was at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm. If he could master this cultivation method, he could even compete with a half-step creation realm warrior. Deng He couldn't refuse this temptation. Therefore, he immediately withdrew his aura and said to Ningyu, "Tell me the cultivation method, and I can leave your body intact." "I can't leave my body intact unless you let me go. Otherwise, even if I self-destruct, I won't tell you the cultivation method." Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "My unique golden core cultivation method can split into 16 golden cores when cultivated to the extreme. Although you are a Yin-Yang realm warrior and don't have a golden core, you can use this cultivation method to expand your soul sense C by 7 times. Ningyu started to brag and said, "Think about it. Your divine sense C has expanded by 7 times. In the future, even if you were to face a half-step manifestation realm martial artist, you would be able to contend with him or even kill him easily. I have to say, you are really eloquent." Deng He shrugged and immediately changed the topic. He said coldly, "But you are dreaming if you want to play tricks in front of me." The moment he said the word dream, Deng He's hands tore through the void and appeared in front of Ningyu in the blink of an eye. He punched out with both fists, leaving a series of afterimages, and kept bombarding the primordial chi shield around Ningyu. Crack! Deng He was a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, after all. His first punch cracked the primordial chi shield in front of Ningyu. If this went on, the shield formed by Ningyu's 7 golden cores would be completely shattered in 3 punches at most. "Lu Wei, you and Furball go into the storage ring first. Leave this to me." Ning Yu's face was extremely gloomy. He said, "Without my permission, stay in the storage ring." Buzz. The next moment, before Lu Wei could refuse, Ning Yu controlled the storage ring to shoot out a beam of light, wrapped Lu Wei and Furball, and sucked them into the storage ring. There is actually a storage ring that can store people. Not only is this trip not in vain, but it is also a great harvest. Seeing Lu Wei disappear, Deng He was stunned at first, and then he laughed and said, "Haha, if one is lucky, everything will go smoothly. Ningyu, since you have so many treasures, it seems that I can't leave your corpse intact. I will destroy you completely, lest the old monsters of Danwu College find any clues." Chapter 595. A huge sensation. If you want to fight, let's fight. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hearing Deng He's long-winded words, Ningyu snorted coldly. With a thought, 98 flying swords appeared around him instantly. Soul-breaking sword, go! Moreover, Ningyu flicked his wrist and threw the soul-breaking sword to the center of the 98 flying swords, making up 99 flying swords. Ningyu, have you lost your mind? You want to pose a threat to me with just over 90 flying swords? Sensing the numerous flying swords floating around Ningyu, Deng He was stunned at first, but then he smiled and said, "If you had 99 heaven-class supreme-grade flying swords, you might be able to pose a little threat to me. But 98 mystic-class flying swords and 1 heaven-class inferior-grade flying sword are not even qualified to carry my shoes." 9 in 1 sword formation. Ningyu couldn't be bothered with Deng He and directly controlled the 99 flying swords to attack Deng He. The soul-breaking sword as the eye of the formation, together with the 98 mystic-class flying swords, instantly burst out a powerful combat power. The power of this sword formation is actually so great. Feeling the power that burst out of the sword formation, Deng He was finally moved. Deng He had never expected that a sky-high price of an inferior-grade flying sword and 98 mystic-class flying swords could actually compete with a martial artist in the advanced stage of Yin-Yang realm. This was only 98 mystic-class flying sword. If they were all heaven-class flying swords, the scene would be so beautiful that Deng He didn't dare to imagine it. I must get the cultivation method of this sword formation. Deng He secretly made up his mind to get the cultivation method of the sword formation no matter what. While Deng He was secretly thinking, the 99 flying swords had already arrived by his side. "I'll collect your flying swords first and see what other trump cards you have." Deng He's lips curled up, and he wrapped the Yuan Qi and his Sea of Consciousness around his wrist, grabbing at the soul-breaking sword with a backhand. Deng He had seen a lot of sword formations. He was very clear that to break a sword formation, he only needed to destroy the eye of the formation completely. Therefore, Deng He's first thought was to collect the soul-breaking sword because this was the easiest way to break a sword formation. Good chance. Seeing Deng He's action, Ning Yu's eyes lit up. He immediately controlled the remaining 98 flying swords of the profound rank and gathered all their power on the soul-breaking sword. Deng. However, Ningyu had obviously underestimated Deng He's strength. Even with the power of 98 flying swords of the mysterious rank, the soul-breaking sword still failed to gain any advantage in the fight with Deng He. Instead, it fell straight into the distance. Damn it! Retreat! At the critical moment, Ningyu had no choice but to abandon the soul-breaking sword and the remaining 98 profound rank flying swords and quickly flew into the distance. "You want to leave? It's not that easy." Deng He sneered, and a powerful aura burst out from his body. Almost in an instant, the 99 flying swords, including the soul-breaking sword, were all smashed into 2 halves. Ka-cha-ka-cha. The sound of flying swords breaking constantly resounded in this area. "Ningyu, you can't run away. If you know what's good for you, surrender as soon as possible so that you can avoid a lot of unnecessary pain." Deng He said loudly, Otherwise, I'll peel off your skin and pour some salt water and chili water on it. Old fart, you actually want me to surrender? Ningyu spat out a mouthful of saliva and said coldly, If you have the ability, then come after me. Hee, since you're so arrogant, I'll let you know what it means to be a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm. Deng He's body gradually became illusory as he finished his words. Buzz. The next moment, Ningyu felt the space in front of him shake. As expected, Deng He appeared from the void. Run. Why don't you run? Deng He crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at Ningyu with interest. Who said I'm going to run? Ningyu raised his eyebrows and said calmly, I just want to change a place to fight. Change a place to fight? Ah. Deng He laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. You're a martial artist at the intermediate primal core stage. Aren't you ashamed to talk to a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm like this? Why would I be ashamed? Ningyu said calmly, moreover, although you're a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, you might not be able to gain an advantage. I might not be able to gain an advantage? Deng He pointed at his nose and laughed wildly. Are you sure it's not good? However, before Deng He finished his sentence, a look of horror appeared in his eyes. At this moment, he finally understood why Ningyu was so unexpectedly calm. Rumble! Not far away, there was a sudden earth-shattering roar. Then, several terrifying auras shot up into the sky. Even though Deng He's cultivation had reached the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, his face became serious at this moment. Damn it, who's messing around? How dare they provoke a 6th-level demon? Deng He was so angry that he swore. His heart sank to the bottom. At such a close distance, even he did not dare to say that he could escape from several 6th-level auras. Swoosh! Suddenly, a huge figure dashed over from afar. Why is it only the early stage of the Yin-Yang realm? Deng He murmured to himself after sensing the aura emitted by the giant figure. No. It's the heaven-devouring hound. It has a pair of purple gold wings on its back. It's the king of the heaven-devouring hound clan, the purple-gold heaven-devouring hound. Suddenly, Deng He's eyes revealed a look of surprise. Ningyu, let's go. The Dark Emperor did not care about Deng He's shock. He did not even look at Deng He and did not linger in this area at all. When he came to Ningyu's side, he shouted at Ningyu, There are 4 6th-level demon beasts behind us. It'll be too late if we don't leave now. Damn. Although Ningyu was prepared, he still gasped when he heard the Dark Emperor's words. 4 6th-level demon beasts. With his current strength, there was a high chance that he would be blasted into smithereens if he encountered them. Without any hesitation, Ningyu leaped up and landed firmly on the Dark Emperor's back. Deng He, let me remind you that there are 4 6th-level demon beasts behind us. Good luck. After advancing to the early stage of the Yin-Yang realm, the Dark Emperor's speed increased significantly and he disappeared from this area instantly. Deng He was dumbfounded as he watched Ningyu disappear. Forget about 4 Tier 6 demonic beasts, even if it was one, he would not be able to handle it. Uncle Deng, save me! At this moment, the 9th prince's cry for help rang in Deng He's ears. Swoosh! Deng He turned around hurriedly. However, as soon as he turned around, he saw an extremely bloody scene. A peak rank 6 demonic beast with wings on its back stepped on the 9th prince's body, turning him into a pancake. Stab! Situ-1, who was next to him, did not fare any better either. He was torn into 2 by another 6th-level demon beast and blood splattered everywhere. Damn it! Ningyu, I'm going to chop you into pieces. Chapter 596. Danger from both sides. Putting Situ-1 aside, the 9th prince had a huge force behind him. His death would involve too many things. In short, if the outside world knew of the 9th prince's death, it would definitely set off a new storm in the capital. When the ninth prince died, Deng He was by his side. Without a doubt, Deng He would be pushed to the teeth of the storm. No, I have to capture Ningyu. Deng He's body shivered uncontrollably at the thought of this. Without thinking too much, he leaped up and chased after Ningyu with all his might. Roar! Seeing that Deng He was about to leave, the 4 peak stage rank 6 demonic beasts roared at the sky and tore through the void, chasing after Deng He at an astonishing speed. Hence, a good show was put on in the lone skeleton forest. Ningyu and the Dark Emperor flew at the front at an extremely fast speed. Deng He was not slow either, and he was constantly closing the distance between Ningyu and the rest. If this continued, it would not take long for Ningyu and the Dark Emperor to be caught up. At the back, the 4 peak stage rank 6 demonic beasts roared and moved forward. Peak stage rank 6 demonic beasts were equivalent to peak Yin-Yang realm martial artists. In terms of strength, they were much stronger than peak Yin-Yang realm martial artists. Naturally, their speed was much faster than peak Yin-Yang realm martial artists. Especially when they were angry, they became faster and faster, and it seemed like they were catching up to Deng He. Ningyu, surrender now if you know what's good for you. Deng He looked back at the peak stage rank 6 demonic beasts that were catching up to him with fear in his eyes. Deng He knew very well that once the peak stage rank 6 demonic beasts caught up to him, he would be dead. Therefore, Deng He's current plan was very simple. He wanted Ningyu and the rest to be his cannon fodder, to buy time for him to escape. At this moment, Deng He had already forgotten about the ninth prince's death. After all, his own life was the most important, and everything else had to be put aside for the time being. Surrender? Just surrender a few times. Catch up if you can. Don't just stand there and grumble like a girl. How could Ningyu surrender? The big movement made by the Dark Emperor was too timely. The current situation was that Deng He was the cannon fodder behind him, buying time for him to escape. F***ck your grandpa. Hearing Ningyu's words, Deng He couldn't help shouting, Ningyu, if you don't stop, I will kill my way to Tianxian City and sacrifice the entire Ning family. Idiot. Ningyu was too lazy to pay attention to Deng He. In the current situation, it was obvious that escaping was more important, and everything else had to be put aside for the time being. Dark Emperor, you have also advanced to the early stage of the Yin-Yang realm. What is your current strength? Can he fight against a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm? Ningyu ignored Deng He's roar and started talking to the Dark Emperor. Think too much about the series. The Dark Emperor rolled his eyes at Ningyu and said, Martial artists at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm are all sick and incomparably powerful. Unless I advance to the middle stage of the Yin-Yang realm, I am not even qualified to carry the shoes of a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm. Let me put it this way. Now that I have transformed into my original form, I can fight against and kill a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm. F***ck, you could already fight against and even kill a martial artist at the middle stage of the Yin-Yang realm when you were at the peak of the primal core realm. Now that you have advanced to the early stage of the Yin-Yang realm, your strength has not increased much? Ningyu was speechless. After all this time, the Dark Emperor's strength did not increase much. It was a waste of hundreds of thousands of transcendent grade yuan crystals. In the past, when I transformed into my original form, I could only fight against a martial artist at the middle stage of the Yin-Yang realm. It was difficult to even kill them. The Dark Emperor explained as he flew at full speed. Now that I have transformed into my original form, killing a martial artist at the middle stage of the Yin-Yang realm is a piece of cake. Even if I encounter a martial artist at the late stage of the Yin-Yang realm, I can fight against and even kill him. Good. You are amazing. Hundreds of thousands of transcendent grade yuan crystals. Oh no. Dark Emperor, get out of the way. Ningyu was very helpless. The Dark Emperor could always find a good reason for him to spend transcendent grade yuan crystals. However, before Ning Yu could finish his sentence, his expression changed drastically. That was because there was a figure in front of him, colliding with him. From this figure, Ning Yu could feel an extremely terrifying aura. This aura indicated that this martial artist was at least a martial artist at the peak of the late stage of the Yin-Yang realm. Damn it, there's really a wolf in front and a tiger behind. Since Ning Yu discovered the danger, the Dark Emperor naturally discovered it as well. Just as Ning Yu reminded him, the Dark Emperor flashed his purplish gold wings and dodged to the side. Boom! However, even though the Dark Emperor dodged, the martial artist at the peak of the late stage of the Yin-Yang realm still shot out a powerful cold light that attacked Ning Yu on the Dark Emperor's back. Damn it! At the critical moment, Ning Yu cursed in his heart, and the essence in his sea of consciousness surged out, coming into contact with the cold light in front of him. Rumble! A loud sound resounded in this area. Ning Yu, where is young Master Situ? Following this voice was a loud bellow. Young Master Situ. How would I know where Situun went? He might have already been eaten alive by the peak of the sixth step demonic beast behind him. Ning Yu was startled at first, then said, Situun is only at the peak of the Yuandan stage. The peak of the sixth step demonic beast only needs to use a little bit of its strength to crush him into a meat patty. Situ Jia, quickly stop Ning Yu and the others. Behind him, Deng He was overjoyed when he saw the figure that suddenly appeared, and hurriedly said, Don't listen to Ning Yu's nonsense, Situun died in Ning Yu's hands. Can I remind you guys? Ning Yu said at this time, if there's anything, don't say it here, after all, there's… Damn it! Where are the four peak of the sixth step demonic beast? As he spoke, Ning Yu looked behind Deng He. This glance made Ning Yu's expression change. There was nothing behind Deng He. Where were the peak of the sixth step demonic beast? This is already within the boundaries of the capital. Not to mention the peak of the sixth step demonic beasts, even the early stage of the seventh step demonic beasts would not dare to behave atrociously here. Seeing the doubt in Ning Yu's eyes, Deng He snorted and said, The royal family has an agreement with the demonic beasts. Within the boundaries of the capital, no demonic beasts above the fifth step can appear, or else they will see it as a provocation to the royal family. Ning Yu was speechless. Without the restriction of the peak of the sixth step demonic beasts, wouldn't he be surrounded? Dark Emperor, how long will it take for you to kill the old man at the peak of the advanced Yin-Yang realm? Ning Yu took a deep breath and said to the Dark Emperor in a low voice, I can only hold Deng He for 3 minutes if I attack with all my strength. If 3 minutes is not enough, you have to hold him for at least 5 minutes. The Dark Emperor's expression was extremely solemn. He was very clear that even if he transformed into his true form, he would not be able to kill a martial artist at the peak of the advanced Yin-Yang realm within 3 minutes. In fact, he might not even be able to kill him within 5 minutes. Chapter 597. To be silly, alright. I'll hold him off for 5 minutes. Ning Yu gave a low shout. Dark Emperor, I can only stop him for 5 minutes. If you can't kill Situjia in 5 minutes, we will all die here. Whoosh! Without waiting for the Dark Emperor to reply, Ning Yu immediately leaped up and charged straight at Deng He. There's a path to heaven that you don't want to take. Instead, you barge into hell where there's no door. Looking at the approaching Ning Yu, the corner of Deng He's mouth curled up as he said with a smile, Since you're seeking death, don't blame me. As soon as he finished speaking, all the essence in Deng He's body rushed out and suppressed Ning Yu. At the same time, Deng He took out a flying sword. The sword was silvery white in color and constantly emitted a terrifying aura. A top-grade heaven-class flying sword. The flying sword used by Deng He had reached the supreme-grade heaven class. A warrior at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm could already display the full power of a top-grade heaven-class flying sword. It could be said that even a warrior at the late stage of the yin-yang realm might not be able to block Deng He's slash with a top-grade heaven-class flying sword. Golden core, come out. As Ningyu approached Deng he summoned the 7 golden cores in his sea of consciousness and made them float above his head. Walala! At the same time, a waist-thick yuan qi light beam shot out from each of the 7 gold cores. The 7 light beams merged into one, turning into a huge yuan qi light beam, and collided with the yuan qi that rushed out of Deng He's body with no way to avoid it. Chi-chi! A sizzling sound rang out as the two collided. For a moment they were evenly matched. You do have some skill. Deng He was slightly taken aback by the sudden change. Deng He did not expect that the primordial qi in Ningyu's 7 golden cores would be so strong. One had to know that Ningyu was only at the mid-stage of the primal core stage. When he was at the mid-stage of the primal core stage, his primal qi was already comparable to the peak of the yin-yang stage. Once he advanced to the yin-yang stage, how powerful would he be? At this moment, a torrential killing intent rose in Deng He's heart, and it was getting stronger and stronger. Roar! Seeing that Ningyu and Deng He were fighting, the Dark Emperor didn't stay idle. He immediately flapped the purple-gold wings on his back, faced the sky and roared, then charged at Sidu Jie with all his might. Sidu Jie was just a warrior at the peak of the late yin-yang realm. Of course, he was much weaker than Deng He. Purple-gold sky devouring hound. Sensing the powerful aura emanating from the Dark Emperor, Sidu Jie revealed a heated expression. The heaven-swallowing hound, especially the purple-gold heaven-swallowing hound, was full of treasures. Capture him alive. Sidu Jie changed his strategy instantly. He wanted to capture him alive. If he made use of the living heaven-devouring hound, he could even use it to break through to the peak of yin-yang realm. Deng He's always a problem here. Sidu Jie felt that Deng He was a big trouble. He was afraid that Deng He would compete with him for this purple-gold sky-devouring hound. I can't fight this purple-gold sky-devouring hound here. I have to change locations. While rolling his eyes, Sidu Jie's hands tore the void and disappeared. The moment he disappeared, Sidu Wen's voice slowly sounded in the Dark Emperor's ears. Let's change places to fight, I want to spar with you properly. The hell? What the hell is going on? Hearing Sidu Jie's words, the Dark Emperor was stunned. Was Sidu Jie an idiot? Didn't he know that he was on the same side as Ningyu? How could he leave Ningyu alone here? Sidu Jie was an idiot, but the Dark Emperor was not. The Dark Emperor's heart moved, and he sent a sound transmission to Sidu Jie. You go first, I'll be there soon. After saying that, the Dark Emperor ignored Sidu Jie and turned to charge towards Ningyu. Ningyu, quickly get on my back, let's retreat. The Dark Emperor shouted as he flew. Understood. Originally, Ningyu could not hold on any longer. Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, he hurriedly released a powerful attack and jumped onto the Dark Emperor's back. Sit tight, I need to speed up. Just as Ningyu sat on the Dark Emperor's back, the Dark Emperor shouted. Don't worry, I'm sitting on. F***ck. Ningyu wanted to say that he was sitting very steadily, but before he could finish, he couldn't help but curse. Because the Dark Emperor's speed was too fast, to the point of being ridiculously fast. Compared to his previous speed, he was at least several times faster now. Damn it, Sidu Jie, what the hell are you doing? The sudden change infuriated Deng He. Now, Deng He was so angry that his teeth were itching. Originally, he was about to kill Ningyu, but who would have thought that Sidu Jie would do this to him? It was really unexpected, especially when the Dark Emperor didn't hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his speed. It made Deng He vomit blood in anger. Sidu Jie, don't let me meet you, or I'll kill you too. Since the Dark Emperor had burned his blood essence, Deng He would definitely burn his blood essence as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to catch up with the Dark Emperor. After all, the speed of the sky-devouring dog clan was not for show. Ningyu, Situjia was being silly just now. We can't go on like this. We have to think of a way. The Dark Emperor knew that if Situjia hadn't been silly, they wouldn't have had a chance to escape. As long as Situjia reacted and joined Deng He to encircle them, the situation would still become extremely dangerous. What can I do? Deng He is a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, and the Hall Master of the Alchemy Hall isn't here. The two of us can't kill Deng He. Ningyu was also a little helpless. This time, they had really met a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, Deng He. With the strength of him and the Dark Emperor, they could even kill a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm if they joined hand. However, the reality was so cruel. They had met Deng He at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm. What about the red skin? You, me, and the red skin? If the three of us join hands, we might be able to fight a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm. The Dark Emperor gritted his teeth. Don't mention it. Right now, the Red Demon's sword is on the verge of advancing. It's only a step away from advancing to a royal stage flying sword. The Red Demon doesn't have time. Ningyu sighed and said helplessly, No, we can't do it without time. Hurry up and get that brat out. The Dark Emperor had a bad temper and said angrily, We are all on the verge of life and death, but that brat Red Skin is actually carefree in the storage ring. I'm afraid it's not good. Ningyu hesitated. The Red Demon is the sword spirit of the Red Demon sword. Once the Red Demon sword fails to advance, I'm afraid he will also be in danger. Then what do you think we should do? We can't just keep running, right? The Dark Emperor said, Don't forget, Situjia was just hot-headed just now. If he were to react, we would be facing double the danger. Alright, let me try. Ningyu gritted his teeth and immediately sent his soul force into the storage ring to communicate with the Red Devil. Swish. Seeing that Ningyu's soul force had entered the storage ring, the Dark Emperor also separated a bit of his perception and followed Ningyu into the storage ring. F***ck. Ningyu, why didn't you say so earlier that you had so many transcendent grade origin crystals? Chapter 598. Kill 1 inch you don't have to run? Ningyu was slightly startled when he heard this, and then he said, What do you mean? It's very simple. Give me all of these 500,000 transcendent grade origin crystals, and then stall Deng He for a minute. I'll give Deng He a great fortune. The Dark Emperor had a fervent expression as he said, I've reached the Yin-Yang realm and unlocked a talent. What talent? Ningyu asked. The unique talent of the heaven-devouring dog clan, Tun Tun Tun. With that said, the Emperor of the Dark Emperor did not wait for Ningyu to react and immediately stopped. He placed the 500,000 or so transcendent origin crystals into the storage bag, and then took the storage bag out from the storage ring. Whoosh! In the next moment, the Dark Emperor flew to the other side with the storage bag filled with Supreme Essence crystals, leaving behind a dumbfounded Ningyu. Isn't this too nonsensical? The Dark Emperor left Deng He to him? Damn dog, how dare you trick me? Right at this moment, Situjia appeared in this area. As soon as he appeared, Situjia shouted, I want to tear you apart. Don't tear me apart yet. Ningyu said that if you want to deal with me, you'll have to step over his dead body first. The Dark Emperor didn't care about Situjia's threat. He waved his black claw and said, Oh right, I forgot to tell you. Ningyu just told me that if he used his trump cards, you and Deng He wouldn't be enough. F***ck. Ningyu really couldn't tolerate the Dark Emperor tricking him like this. Don't listen to the Dark Emperor's nonsense, how could I? Ningyu hurriedly explained. Stop pretending. Both of you will die today. Deng He interrupted Ningyu and said, You should be proud to be killed by me and Situjia. After all, Situjia and I are at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm and the peak of the late Yin-Yang realm. Situjia, you deal with Ningyu. I will deal with that black dog. With that, Deng He stomped his feet on the ground and charged towards the Dark Emperor at an astonishing speed. Seeing Deng He rush out, Sidu Jie's face darkened, but he couldn't do anything. His cultivation was only at the pinnacle of late-stage Yin-Yang realm, while Deng He was at the pinnacle of Yin-Yang realm. He was no match for Deng He. Humph! Ningyu must have a lot of treasures on him. Situ Jie snorted, attacking Ningyu directly. This time, Situ Jie had learned his lesson. He didn't hold back anymore, and his first attack was a killing move. Damn it! Red Devil, stop thinking about advancing the Red Devil sword. Hurry up and come out to deal with the trouble in front of us. Seeing Deng He rushing towards the Dark Emperor and Sidu Jie launching a powerful attack at him, Ningyu directly communicated with the Red Devil and said, "The Red Devil sword can advance anytime. If the Dark Emperor and I are killed here, even you will be finished." Crack! A crack appeared in the space next to Ningyu, and a man in a red robe appeared out of it. In the red-robed man's hand was a blood-red flying sword. Red Devil, you have also advanced to the early stage Yin-Yang realm? Ningyu's jaw dropped when he sensed the powerful aura emanating from Hong Mo. His face was filled with disbelief. The Red Demon Sword hadn't even advanced to the Monarch rank, yet the Red Demon Sword had already advanced to the initial stage of the Yin-Yang realm. It was obvious how terrifying the Red Demon Sword's cultivation would be once it advanced to the Monarch rank. Ningyu, this is the best time for the Red Devil Sword to advance. I'm afraid it will be very difficult to advance in the future. The Red Devil ignored Ningyu's surprise and said in a deep voice, "Leave the Red Devil Sword to me. I can hold that pinnacle Yin-Yang realm martial artist back." Swoosh! With that, the Red Devil tore the void and appeared in front of Deng He. Rumble! Immediately after, the Red Devil held the Red Devil sword and slashed at Deng He's head. "It's good that we can hold him back. The Dark Emperor said that we only need to hold him back for a minute." Ningyu was naturally very pleased that the Red Devil could hold Deng He back. As for Situ Jie, who was at the pinnacle Yin-Yang realm, Ningyu was still confident that he could hold him back for a minute. Reincarnation Palm. Since there was no flying sword, Ningyu simply wrapped the essence Qi in his sea of consciousness around his wrist and performed the sixth move of the Netherworld Reincarnation Palm, Reincarnation Palm. Qi Qi. The essence Qi in the 7 golden elixirs gathered on his palm, and the Reincarnation Palm was extremely powerful. Even the void seemed to tremble. What kind of palm technique is this? Although Situ Jie had a cultivation base at the peak of late Yin-Yang realm, he still felt anxious when he sensed the massive palm coming towards him. This palm print gave Situ Jie a feeling that he wasn't 100% sure that he could resist it. This was the first time Situ Jie felt this way. In other words, this was the first time he felt so helpless when facing a primordial core realm warrior. At this critical moment, Situ Jie quickly gathered the essence Qi on his wrist and also threw out a shocking palm. Crack! The two palm prints collided and directly shattered. In this move, both sides were equally matched. Ningyu, I admit that you are very strong. You are the strongest primordial core realm warrior I have ever met. After that move, Situ Jie took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Your strength is even comparable to an ordinary Yin-Yang realm warrior. However, you are destined to die here today." Hee, is that so? The corner of Ningyu's mouth curled up as he laughed. "Why? You seem to be unconvinced," Situ Jie said. "It's not that I'm unconvinced, but I feel sad for you." Ningyu shrugged and said, "Let me put it this way. You didn't use your full strength to kill me just now, which means that you have completely lost the chance to kill me." Ha ha ha! Situ Jie threw his head back and laughed, then said coldly, "Killing a middle primordial core realm warrior is as easy as blowing off dust for me." The ignorant are fearless. Ningyu raised his eyebrows and smiled. "To kill you, I don't even need to do anything." "Don't need to do anything?" "Not good. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Situ Jie was slightly stunned. However, before Situ Jie could finish his sentence, his pupils shrank. He stomped his feet on the ground and quickly retreated. Buzz buzz. However, before Situ Jie could retreat a few steps, a black figure appeared in front of him and blocked his way. Ning Yu is right. To kill you, he doesn't need to do anything. The black figure stood in front of Situ Jie, the corner of his mouth curling up as he said, "Leave a peak Inyang realm warrior to me." As he spoke, the black figure raised his front claw and, under Situ Jie's horrified gaze, stabbed it into his heart. Bang! A crisp sound rang out in the area. In an instant it was as if time had stopped. Even Deng He, who was fighting with the Red Devil in the distance, stopped fighting and turned his head to look in this direction. "You damned dog, how dare!" Situ Jie lowered his head to look at the black claw in his heart. Before he finished his sentence, his eyes rolled up and he fell to the ground. At this moment Situ Jie, who was at the peak Inyang realm, fell to the ground. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.